Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting for November 9th, 2021 for Bedford Township. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, if Pastor Brenner Trepovich from Lewis Avenue Baptist Church could open us up in prayer.
Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and for the time that we get to spend planning our future. And I ask that you give us clarity. I ask that you give us wisdom. I ask that you please provide the means necessary, Lord, for us to understand what's ahead and find viable solutions for what we need. I pray that you bless our country, our leaders, grant them wisdom and your protection. And I ask that you protect us tonight. And thank you for all you do for another day to live. We pray for your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Did I pronounce that name right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Wow.
Appreciate it.
Okay, item 2 is approval of the agenda. I know we want to remove 8E until next meeting. 8E.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support. Okay, motion in support of Mr. Bruning. Discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 3 is the consent agenda. The agenda committee recommends to approve and place on file A, minutes of the October 19th, 2021 regular meeting of the Bedford Township Board. B, Bedford Township Board meeting schedule for 2022.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support. Okay, motion in support of Mr. Bruning. Discussion? Okay, seeing none, just call the roll, please.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 7-0. Okay, at this time, number 4 is Monroe County Business Development Corporation presentation, preparing for investment. The floor is your guys'.
We come in force. Good evening. We come as a group organized under the Monroe County Economic Development Corporation. And we appreciate the opportunity to speak to the board tonight, to give you a little insight of what we do and what our goals and accomplishments are and how we can actually serve the township better, and to look at, as we look at economic development. So briefly, the Monroe County EDC is organized under the county board in lieu of the Monroe County BDC, which Mr. Vanasacker is a member of, and Tim Lake. They're a private organization, and they organize separately for distinct purposes for development. However, the Monroe County EDC is a group organized under the county board with business leaders and community leaders. And then as part of that, we have a subcommittee that has been active for many years, over a decade. One of the very first things our subcommittee did was to develop the Streamlining Development booklet that I'm sure many of you have already seen. It's a quarter, half-inch thick, and it explains all the development, who to contact, what to do, and the like in Monroe County if someone's coming in to look at development processes. As part of that, then, our committee was asked to serve on the Prepare for Investment pillar under the Monroe County Link Plan. And one of the things that we wanted to do under that Link Plan, at the request of Mike Bosonic, the county administrator, was to develop this group and take our group that was organized under the EDC and help look at economic development and how it might help the individual cities, townships, and the like. So our group is a subcommittee that's got about 13, 14 members. Right now, just as a cross-section of our membership, we have the leadership from all the utility companies, ITC, DTE, Consumers Power, Michigan Gas Utilities, the Road Commission, the Drain Commission. We have real estate agents, engineers, myself, architects, Jim, and the like. So we have a pretty broad cross-section of people that can look at sites and help development sites. Now, one of the things we also do is we put on seminars, at least one every year, to help you understand better, where we bring in professionals or people experienced and experts in their field. And we've done several of those over the last decade. Recently, we also helped when Mike Basonic actually did the ARPA presentation at the County Battlefield Auditorium. So tonight, briefly, what we would like to do is tell you how we can potentially help you if you'd like us to. And I guess we'll start with the slides real quickly. Can you hear me if I'm back here? Is that not going to work for your...
You're going to need to be closer to talking it.
Okay. Okay. All right. This is basically our mission, basically to facilitate infrastructure knowledge and assist communities with strategies for priority development areas. Priority development areas are essentially areas of development that you as a township would like to see developed, that either it's zoned properly, master planned properly, and you want help in analyzing, whether that's from the Road Commission, Drain Commission, all the utility companies and the like. And we'll prepare a summary document for you at no cost to the townships. This is just a service under our volunteer group. We're all strictly volunteer. None of us are paid to do what we're doing here. And all of our group here tonight, which I probably should have introduced our group basically tonight. We have Adele Pescaris from ITC. We have Florence Buchanan. She serves on our group, and she kind of keeps us all in line. And Jeff McBee from County Planning. We have Matt Vanasacker from the BDC, obviously, and Jim Jacobs from Jacob Architects. That's just a brief cross-section of our group. We also have, like I say, another about 6 or 8 people that serve on this committee. And our goal is to have you well prepared for your economic investment. And if you have special prime development areas that you'd like to look at, we will help you to help those sites, to analyze those sites for you and basically explain what the good points are, what the bad points are, how much it maybe costs to bring in some key utilities and the like. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Adele, and she can talk a little bit about utilities.
Good evening. Thanks to the Township Board for having us here tonight. And as it was mentioned before, the Monroe County BDC has given a platform to the utilities for all of us to get here together. And for your particular township, you are served by Consumers Energy for the distribution side, and then by Michigan Gas Utility for gas, and then ITC. We're the high voltage transmission company, so we partner with consumers to deliver energy to your homes and businesses. In terms of some of the economic development tools, what we can offer for you are the site certification tools, energy facility overviews, and then project proposals. We are also working on a consistent basis with the MEDC as well, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, looking at various projects that are coming in, and we're engaging early. So I guess that's a message for tonight, to help engage us early in the process. In terms of some of the available tools, I hope the technology cooperates with me. Oh, maybe not. It's okay. Here, let me go back to the PowerPoint. Yeah. Oh. Bear with me. I wanted to show you a tool here that's available by Consumers Energy, where you can click and you can select for Monroe County, and it will show you a site that's energy ready. It will have all the information and also whether that site is available for lease or to buy. Also, another thing that we can offer are quick responses on questions and share information, even if you're looking for a potential development and it's still in its inception phase. We are committed to confidentiality, so we can have NDAs in place so that we can share that information freely. And then even if that particular development doesn't happen, that's okay too, as long as you engage us early in the process. And to give you an idea, for ITC standpoint, for example, it could take us up to 2 years to build a line. from the moment that the project happens, then since we're federally regulated, it takes a long time for the process to get the project approved, and then it would have to go internally through the planning, the design phase, and then procurement, and by the time the construction starts, it could well be 2 years. That's why it's important to engage us early. Also, certain developers may not know whether they need high voltage, depending on their capacity needs, so it's good to, if you're not sure, you could involve distribution, so consumers and also ITC, and we can tell you what type of capacity needs you have for that particular area. Also, we encourage property owners to take advantage of programming. I know consumers and DTE, they have various programs in place where you can get incentives for construction, for renewable, various other incentives and programming. From ITC standpoint, we're high voltage only, so we're not really providing incentives, but some of the distribution companies, they have various incentives that are for energy efficiency programs that are available for you. Also, if you have any questions regarding, you're looking at your master plan, zoning, periodic reviews, feel free to reach out to us. And then we also have our contact information here. So if you need somebody from consumers or from DTE or Michigan Gas or ITC, feel free to reach out to us. Or if you don't remember this information, you can always go back to Monroe BDC and they will connect you with the right person. And I'll pass it. I think. Next slide. There we go.
Thank you. As Barry mentioned, I'm Jeff McBee with County Planning. And as the slide says, partnering with local resources is something that's really important to this group. We certainly strive as a team to bring all those resources together to benefit local communities and bring development as much as we can. At the county, we have started a relatively new and I'd say innovative program as far as the GIS goes. We have a list of several of the tools available, and the first one to see is GIS, and that's what I just wanted to give you a brief overview tonight. As far as our GIS program, the cornerstone of it is what's called Monroe County Property Data Exchange. Now, what that basically is a website that anybody can go to, free of service, and when you get there, you're going to have a view of the entire county on an interactive map. Anybody can go to it, find any particular property that they may be interested in, click on that property, and it's just going to pull up a wealth of information. What you're going to find is the current owner, assessed value, the last sale date, the last sale price, the total acreage of the property, how it's currently zoned, and the property classification, among some other things. There's also 3 base maps. That includes the most recent aerial imagery. So essentially, a developer could be sitting in Tucson, Arizona, say, be interested in expanding, wants to see what's going on in Monroe County. They can simply go to their computer or even their phone, pull up our data exchange, and they can easily go to any property they're interested in, and it'll bring them all that information. And they'll even be able to see the property that's available with that up-to-date aerial imagery. We've gotten a lot of good feedback. Real estate professionals have commented how useful it's been. A lot of businesses as well have been very pleased with what results they get from it, and certainly municipal officials as well. So I'd encourage all of you to check it out, take it for a spin. The easiest way to get there is just go ahead and Google it. It's Monroe County Property Data Exchange, and see what you think. If you got any questions, if there's any way you think we can enhance it, we'd certainly be willing to listen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Matt Vanasacker with the Monroe County Business Development Corporation. Barry just wanted me to touch briefly. I know we come before this board quite often, and most of you are pretty familiar with what we do on a daily basis. But just as a reminder, we come in when we work with municipal staff, trustees, to identify some of the priority development areas that you would have available in your municipality. I think that was kind of the intent when the EDC committee was formed for Bedford Township. We keep a pulse on market demand for Southeast Michigan, Northwest Ohio, and also emerging markets that may be good to look at as well. Work with the committee here to identify challenges to sites, because most of the good sites are already taken in terms of being development ready. We engage the Drain Commission, Road Commission, utilities, water engineering, you name it. We engage with the property owner and real estate representatives as needed to get their thoughts on the properties and parcels and see what their thoughts are on that development. And then we also consult with regional partners on site promotion. Just last week, Tim was at a conference in Texas representing Monroe County in terms of development. And then also we work with MEDC, which is the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the Detroit Regional Partnership, and the Regional Growth Partnership of Toledo to market sites as well. So I will now turn it over to Mr. Jacobs.
Good evening. I've got the next two bullet items that I'm going to talk about, and if you hear the reoccurring theme here, it's ask and ask early. So engage the utilities early in the process. I think what we've discovered in the assessment of the 8 sites that were part of the original link plan, which has now led to a little bit more of a expanded approach and thought process on what other communities outside of the 75 corridor aspect of it were looking at, was a reoccurring theme of engage those utilities early. You heard 2 years for getting major power there. That if you get that information up front and early, that will help that process along. And I think each township, municipality, goes through a master planning phase. I think in that master planning time period is a time to look at those potential sites or areas that you may want to expand or target for future growth of any kind. I think originally this started out more of an industrial thought process. What we've realized is that Frenchtown Township, for instance, has a focus on the waterfront and growth of the tourism industry. And so that's their focus in different PDAs as well as some of the industrial type sites. So engaging those utility partners early in that helps you make sure that in your master plan thoughts that there's availability or what roadblocks you may need to overcome in order for that vision to come true. And the same would hold true with engaging the road, drain, water, and sewer locally. I think Bedford's in a little better position than some municipalities with relation to all of those utilities, but it's still a process. If you've got a property owner that's come and wants to have a vision for their property, getting those partners involved early in those discussions helps them figure out how to overcome those hurdles so that it doesn't become a 20-year vision. It can become something much shorter. So we would encourage you to do that process. Part of that also that we discovered was engaging the property owners and the townships, which Barry Bushman's going to explain a little bit further on. And before we forget, I don't know if they introduced Matt. He's also part of the team. Didn't have a speaking part tonight. He's here for another agenda item, but just wanted to recognize him as part of the group as well.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. One of the things that when the county link plan was originally developed, one of the things that was realized that they had selected about 8 PDAs, and what we realized is that most of the communities weren't engaged, nor were the individuals that owned the property. So one of the things that we want to do in working with you, if you find that you have a potential area that you want to focus on or a piece of property, what we'd like to do, along with engaging our group, we would like to develop a memorandum of understanding so that we know that you, as a township, want to develop that area and will devote your resources and time and commitments, whether that be on planning commission or otherwise, to the successful development of the property, as well as meeting with the property owners to make sure they are engaged and truly willing to sell their property. So to that end, we'd like to develop a couple memorandum of understanding where everybody says, yes, sign on the dotted line that, yes, we agree, but we all want to develop this property, and it's a great property for industrial, light commercial, or whatever you decide that needs to be. So that's one of the key areas that we really want to focus on, and the reason why we're taking this show on the road to you so that you can understand. Now, Also, we missed earlier, Jim pointed out, obviously Matt Snell is our county highway engineer with the Road Commission, and Dory Hawkins is here. She's the managing director of the Road Commission. And thank you both for coming, and they serve key roles in certainly helping us analyze various sites from a Road Commission standpoint too. So normally what we do here is engage the township in several of these questions that you see before you. Obviously, we know tonight you have a very full agenda, and having another 15, 20-minute dialogue is probably going to push us into some late hours, and that doesn't really work. But I guess what we would like to do, if you're willing and desire, we are willing to come to any other board meeting or possible board meeting with your planning commission meeting and focus on areas that you think might be prime development areas that you think would be good in Bedford Township, and help you analyze. You should, if you look at one of the ones we've analyzed, there's a pretty good packet of information where we tell you what's good and bad, as the previous speakers have said, both with utilities, underground, whether it's drains, roads, the like. We'll put a whole packet together and give you pretty much cross-section of what the good, bad, and ugly is for any particular site. So that's pretty much our presentation. We're willing to engage in some additional dialogue or answer any questions you might have, but I know you have a big schedule tonight, and I guess we'll turn it over to you and ask if you have any questions.
Well, thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it and all the work you've put into this. It's obvious that all the board members know our industrial space is very thin in Bedford, and we miss opportunities because of that. We don't have site readies, and we don't particularly have sites that are zoned industrial that are big enough. I know Reed Road is an area that's ready. There's 50, 60 plus acres out there. It's already have the infrastructure in it. So that's an area that needs to be looked at. But at the end of the day, I think the state needs to be engaged with, some of the advantages that some of these companies get is why they're leaving to go to Ohio. We see it far too often. Some of the benefits that the other states are offering that Michigan just doesn't. But yeah, I would say if you guys could look at Reed Road, that would be a great start.
Well, like I say, we're more than willing to engage in more dialogue with you and bring down a committee or invite you all or a group of you to come to one of our regular meetings and hear more about what we do, and welcome anytime. As I mentioned, we meet about once a month, and typically we're going to have two more seminars over the course of the next year. So please attend, please be aware, and see and ask for help, because we're here to help. It's strictly a volunteer group, but we've got a cross-section of all the experts in all the areas that can tell you more about your land development.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for being here. Anybody have any questions or comments?
One quick question for Barry. Barry, are you guys just set up to handle the industrial, because I do sit on the Lewis Avenue Development Committee, and we've been meeting trying to figure out different ways to develop areas in Lewis Avenue. Is that something that your committee would help with or could potentially?
Sure. Where we see our benefit to you would be to say, if you said, here's an area, this piece of land is undeveloped, maybe north of Smith Road or on the east side or something like that, then we could say, here are the issues of utilities, drainage, and the like, and so there's where we could be of assistance.
Okay, I'm going to bring it up at our next meeting next month.
Sure, be glad.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question, Paul. So for these meetings, and if you want to do anything, Barry, is there a charge for that, or you guys just do this?
We're strictly a volunteer group organized under the county. There's no charge or fee whatsoever.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, all right. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to public comment. Comments limited to 5 minutes for board agenda items only. Come on up.
Ken Gagne, 8311 Lambert Street, Lambertville. I want to touch base on Jackman and Smith Road. I was at the meeting when the bid was let out to tear the building down, Michigan Tavern. It was really, I would say, pushed real hard on the contractor from Monroe. The building got tore down. I called the supervisor and said it was about 2 dump truck loads of having the hole filled in. And he said to me, it doesn't matter because the road commission's going to tear that all out. Well, it didn't happen. So when they had the call-in meetings during COVID, I called in and said, what are we going to do about filling that hole in and cleaning up that corner? Nothing was commented at the end of the meeting. So when the meetings came back in here, the supervisor said that he was working on getting some top dirt brought in, and I had said there's going to be some time between snow plowing and lawn mowing to sneak somebody away for a couple of days and clean the corner up. Well, it didn't happen, and then the supervisor said he was working on getting some dirt brought in. Well, here it is, November. We're looking at snow coming most any time, and the corner's just like it was. I kind of think maybe it should have been cleaned up, concrete disposed of at a couple places close by, and some dirt brought in, but apparently there was no money to bring in any dirt. And I really think it should be cleaned up. I talked to one of the local contractors after the bid was let out, and he told me that his bid got opened up a day or two after the meeting and the bid was let out. So that's the way it is with a local contractor. But bless Chuck's soul, he's not here now, but the business is going to continue to run. Thank you.
I can tell you right now, and I want to address that, this township board, and I'll speak for Trudy because she opens the bid, they do not get opened up early. Never have and never will, as far as I'm concerned. So, okay, next comment.
Thank you. Jeff Myers. I live in 2781 Vicky Lynn Drive in Barberley Manor, which is immediately across from the Indian Creek Zoo. I'm here to speak on item number 8D, the approval for the resolution close Concierge and Secor for the Gift of Lights display. I just got a few comments and questions for consideration for your vote of approval tonight, and just some questions in general, I guess, to consider. I was kind of disappointed that the neighbors weren't consulted about this. I found out really by happenstance on social media. None of the neighbors in our subdivision really received any written notice or anything about this happening. And with the closing of our access to our homes, I would have thought that would have been something that would have happened beforehand, so that at least we had a voice to ask questions and do it. So some of my questions are about traffic. How much traffic is expected? Was there ever a traffic study that was considered for this? We're EMS, the sheriff, how's access? The way I understand it, this is going to be a drive-through light display, and there's potential stacking that's going to be out on the street. Residents shouldn't have to wait to get into their homes, and I'm not sure exactly how long of a wait we're talking about. I just have some concerns, and they're safety concerns too. Concierge, the speed limit's actually fairly high. When I turn into my neighborhood, many times I slow down and I get passed in the left lane. And I can see some of my other neighbors that are maybe not as patient. If there's a stacking issue trying to get into a lights display, they're going to drive around and try to get in the best as they can. And Concierge doesn't have lights on it. It doesn't. It has a stone berm. There's no walkways. There's not. It's not promoting pedestrian access. So, I have some safety concerns that I would hope that the board takes into consideration in approval of closing. And I guess the whole event kind of brings questions to my mind. Is there music, a lot of loud noise or anything, or is this a permitted activity? Did they have to go through a special use permit process to be able to do this? And I'm sure that they probably have, and everybody appreciates a good lights display by all means. But I've heard different things that keep raising more and more questions. I've heard that there might be walk-in potential and pedestrian traffic as well. So I'm just concerned that there's no lights, parking, what's the parking capacity on site, what kind of traffic is expected. So, I've also heard about staff directing traffic if there's road closures. In my opinion, I think that the sheriff's department would be wanted to be consulted as far as doing that. That's more their gig than it is a private owner. There's also concerns about closing it at Secor. There's businesses that have curb cuts there. And if you're going to close and prevent access on Secor or from Secor onto Consier, those signs are going to have to be past the mason jar. So, to allow customers to get into the mason jar. And then, so somebody coming in thinking that they are able to get through might be confused by a closure sign, and then they're going to turn around, and I'm just concerned that there might be some more safety issues as well. I guess in closing, if the lanes are blocked, how's EMS going to get through? I guess it ties back to the traffic. I enjoy the zoo. My family loves the zoo and friends, and I'm all for having a lights display. But, put Bedford on the map, make it like Ida, make it an attraction that people want to come and see. But
Thank you for your comments, sir. We appreciate it.
But let's do it the right way.
Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Bedford Township Council. My name is Pamela Foster. I reside at 3935 Consier Road. And like the gentleman before me, I have many concerns. Traffic. My brother's a volunteer firefighter in the state of West Virginia, and he says that the golden hour is the most critical hour to get anybody medical care. Firefight receives calls for heart attack, stroke, car wrecks, entrapments. How will EMS and OES get to those calls within that golden hour to save a life? First 4 minutes, that's when brain injury happens. After that, 10 minutes, they're gone. How will you explain to a child, I'm sorry the roads were closed, but we had to do a light show, and we're sorry, but your Christmas is ruined. That would be a sarcastic response from a lot of people. But Bedford Township is a lot classier, and I am glad that I call Bedford home. I think that I'm not sure if there was a traffic study done. I have questions about people in dark clothes. I'm dressed in basically dark. You can't see black at night when there's no street lights. Traffic direction, I think it should be done by experts. In the United States military, when I was stationed at Fort Bliss, we had extensive training from what they call day zero. We did not direct traffic until 6 months of perpetual training, and that was 12 to 15 hours a day. Any hour, day or night, light, dark, desert, rain, we were out in that weather, and we were directing traffic. But it took us 6 months of perpetual training in order to make sure that there was no car wrecks. So I believe that experts should be handling traffic control, not civilians. What worries me is what's going to happen if there is a road rage instance on that road. It's pretty narrow. If somebody gets hit, think of that golden hour and the division of the minutes that the rescue and the police and fire have to save a life. Like the gentleman before, I'm all for Christmas. I'm all for a light display. But I wanted to give you an example of a sarcastic comment that could come out if somebody was going to be the Ebenezer Scrooge. And yes, in every township, there is an Ebenezer Scrooge. And I have faced him or her. So, ladies and gentlemen, please think of the safety issues. Please think of the children that will be attending this event, the parents. Think of the safety issues. Please be wise, be safe, be cautious. Bedford's my home. And when I was in the Army and my brother is a firefighter, as I said before, we have a saying, it is a nicer world with you in it. Be safe. We want to see you home for Christmas. Thank you.
Comments. Appreciate it. Okay, next comment.
Lamar Frederick, 3254 Deer Creek Drive. I'm here to talk about the roundabout. We need to, as a board, make sure that there is a lot of communication between the supervisor and the board so that the board doesn't end up behind the curve as this project, if it goes forward, is developed. If you will recall, the initial drawings of the first roundabout were insufficient, but served as the basis for the grant application. And as it went forward, changes had to be made to the drawings because they didn't meet MDOT or federal standards and some other issues. So the project went from $800,000 to $1 million to $1.1 million and ultimately $1.3 million, after which the board said, I've seen enough, and stopped the project. Back up. Don't be shaking your head at me.
It's not true.
That's what it is, $1.3 million, and the board stopped
Keep going,
the project.
Lamar. We're not starting them over. Keep going.
This is comment time, not rebuttal time. And if you
I
want
didn't
to
speak.
rebuttal,
You interrupted.
we'll go
You
forward.
talked to me.
I am talking
so
to you
keep talking
now.
with your comment.
I am talking to you
Go ahead.
now. Start over, Trudy.
Don't start them over.
I stopped it.
Can I have them?
during
Thank
the-
you.
There you go. You got 10 seconds.
You've done that several times, and that's very unkind to a citizen who's coming here for comments.
Time.
All right, start it again, Trudy. The current estimate for the project, at least as discussed by Manick and Smith, is $1 million. What happened to the other $300,000 that was in the first project at the end? Is that going to be covered by the board? We don't know. But clearly the board better be sure that it understands what costs the township will pick up as this project goes forward. Are the drawings for the current project prepared by Manick and Smith been delivered to the Road Commission in a form or final form that is sufficient to make the grant application? We don't want to see what happened before. This is a project that is supposed to be congestion mitigation and air quality. So we take one intersection and take out the light. But if we go westbound, we go a half mile and we hit Summerfield. Everybody stops again if you catch the light. Go another half mile and you catch Douglas, and that stops everybody again. You go another mile and you stop at Secor. And I don't care if you keep on going and you stop at Whiteford. So you've changed one light, but you still have lots of places to stop. Let's go eastbound. 1 mile Lewis Avenue, and you stop again if you catch the light. Another mile Telegraph, and you stop again if you catch the light. Another mile and you go to Dixie Highway and you get caught again. So you've taken one light out, but you're still dealing with 5 or 6 lights that are going to stop everybody. So in the end, this is for the board and the supervisor, speaking to him, shall determine whether you're going forward with this or not. How much is it going to cost the township? Because the road commission clearly said, I'm only going to put 175 in this, and they've already spent some of it. I don't know how much. I can't figure it out. So that's as far as they're going to go. Board, supervisor, you must make sure that you keep control of the costs of this project so we don't have another fiasco like the last one. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next comment.
Good evening. My name is Greg Stewart, 7350 Kenilworth Drive, Lambertville, Michigan, and I'm the chairman of the Monroe County Road Commission. But right now for the comments, one, I want to thank this board for keeping the 5-year road plan together. You've done an excellent job, and it's a pleasure to work with a township that has a plan. It really helps. There's only 3 in this whole county that keep that going, and I want to thank you. The other thing I want to do is I want to give a shout out to Al Pryor. He was part of the presentation last night at the County Road Commission for the bicycle routes. I think they're doing an excellent job, and I encourage this board to keep involved and be a part of this. This is the first time in over 25 years, because I've been involved with roads for that long, that I have seen some real accomplishment in getting something done. So I just wanted to say those 2 things. I'm really here just to support my operations manager and my engineer, but thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Since everyone else is speaking about the roundabout, I will too. Tom Zebek, 1807 Smith Road. I've lived on Smith Road for 46 years. The speed is unbelievable. I'm not up here whining about Smith Road, but I rely on the stop signs and the traffic light to go west. If you put a roundabout in, anyone west of the roundabout very possibly will have to go east to go west. I thought this was done. I spoke to your Al Pryor a year or so ago, and he said, it's finished, it's over. But then I kind of got the feeling when I noticed that the golf course wasn't mowing the triangle or along their mini golf, that something was up. I know standing here isn't really going to accomplish anything other than you need to spend a day on Smith Road. The speed limit is, Bill Dirkmont's in the audience, and I know he'll be speaking to, he lives down closer to Fortuna. And he said it's not unusual for the speed to probably be 50 to 60 mile an hour. So if nothing else, that stop that was recently mentioned that would be taken away is a necessity. You'd be surprised how many people stop in the wrong spot on Smith Road because they're confused. I don't know if we're just trying to get with the program and be the first roundabout in Bedford Township. They're all over Sylvania, but I'm not particularly fond of it being there. Like I say, it's just my opinion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. Dennis Butch, 6271 Benore Road. I put together this package that each one of you should have in front of you. It's just a brief timeline. This obviously everyone is aware that this project has a history. It's not just a brand new, the roundabout is not just a brand new thing that we're learning about today. And the new members of the board, folks that maybe haven't been involved in discussions on the roundabout, participating in any of the action, I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that this project goes all the way back to December of 2016 when it was hatched by the Monroe County Road Commission. I don't have any, I have no idea if any study was done to figure out that Jackman and Smith was the perfect place for it. I can't find any proof that any other ideas were toyed with or investigated to see if you couldn't just adjust the intersection. So nobody can answer that. As far as I know, it's just been, we need to put a roundabout at that place. If you look at the timeline that was provided by the Road Commission through a Freedom of Information Act request, again, the idea was hatched in December of 2016. Late in 2017, some actual action was done by supervisor and Manikin Smith. They were approached by the Road Commission and they were asked if they wanted to have the Road Commission write a grant, to apply for a grant to do this roundabout. And they were all for it. It's a good idea. I mean, I'm not here to argue for or against the roundabout. I just want to make sure that folks are aware that it does have a history, and point out some of the ways that maybe things could have gone a little different in the past had things been brought out in the open right away. We're here to give approval to Monroe County Road Commission to write another grant. Well, the last time that happened was on January 23rd of 2018, when a member of the Road Commission asked Mr. Peroni if the Bedford Township wanted to, if Bedford Township wanted the Road Commission to write this grant, to apply for this grant, and if so, would he get written permission or written approval from the board? Well, he gave them approval to go ahead and apply for the grant, but he did it by a text message. If you spend any time reading through the pamphlet that you have in front of you later, you will learn that tons of mistakes were made along the process. And most of it, in my humble opinion, after doing tons of research on this project, is that had the board been involved from the beginning, from November of 2017, and decisions been made as a group, there probably would already be a roundabout at Smith and Jackman. You would have already had that famous ribbon cutting that you like so well. Okay? So I think I just want to implore that I don't think you should be granting approval tonight no matter what, because you don't know enough. You don't know how much the township has already spent on this project. You don't have any idea how much more it's going to take to get this project done. I don't know how much is the grant going to be written, or the request going to be written for. These are all questions that you have to ask. Are we ready to start writing more checks to do another cost analysis, another cost estimate? Are we ready to start doing that again or are we just going to say, you know what, let's get this information first. Let's figure out what's in it, how much else is going to be in it, in addition to the grant. Because the grant's not just, it is free money, but there's also a match. And my understanding is that any future grant there would also be a match required. So please, don't approve it today. Learn all the numbers that we're talking about, all the important stuff before you ask for money that, like last time, ended up having to be returned because things got out of control.
Thank you for your comments. Have a good night. Any more comments?
My name is Bill Dirkmutt, 1940 Smith Road. I've lived there since 1975.
Now, the traffic on Smith Road is horrendous. By allowing a roundabout for those of us that live on there, we can't get out as it is now. So now you're going to continue a continuous circle of traffic that doesn't ever stop. Just the other day, I was trying to pull in my driveway. I was going eastbound, going to turn left. I had a guy, I was stopped on my bike. Came around me 40 miles an hour, at least that speed. Half on the berm and on a neighbor's yard around me on my bike. And so trying to get in and out of my, just this morning, 5 minutes to get out. So with the roundabout, there's no stopping traffic, no control at all. So control would be a traffic light, controlled intersection, all timed all the way down, and traffic slowed down to 35 miles an hour and enforced. Since I've lived there to this date, I have yet seen the traffic police issue a citation to anybody as my travels up and down that road. It is crazy. A roundabout is totally absurd. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. Several issues. Number 7, planning, finally. Took almost about a year, but finally one of the initial applicants for planning has been recognized as an applicant. Thank you. As far as 8D, I'm asking the board to vote no. I knew this property before it is what it is now, and I don't believe the business is in an appropriate area. And up until a short time ago, it was illegal. And I do question the process of bringing that into compliance. All you got to do is watch the planning meetings. There are no permits on file at the township level, and the request is being made by someone who we don't seem to have a record of existence in this township, only if it's hidden under an LLC status. The road commission will rule however you vote. This was learned when they shut down Temperance. A gift to who? They will charge a fee. This is nothing but a money-making project, and it will make a negative and unsafe impact on the entire surrounding area. As to 8I, as predicted, upon learning the Decker-Adler Road project had money left over, it was predicted that there would be a push for the roundabout. In this case, the word free is a loaded word. Look what has already been spent. Look at the issues that have already been addressed. Maybe if the supervisor hadn't been so busy plotting unnecessary parties, there could have been some public hearings. Per the road commission, they knew he wanted to bring this back up, and so he asked them to do this. Now you have to approve it. Is the reason because it's based on the number of accidents? No. Is it inconvenient? Yes, a couple of times a day. The roundabout is to move the traffic faster, but there are stops that bring everything to a halt on both ends, the east and the west, in 2 separate sites. We need to decrease the use by the Ohioans avoiding Alexis Road by slowing the traffic, not speeding things up, people. And CMAQ is for clean air. We lost that about 20 subdivisions ago. Clean air is gone. Get a bulldozer and let's shove the dirt that belongs to the road commission on the south arm of the northbound Jackman Road, and we're done. That's it. It's finished. We will have improved the traffic flow. We will have a dedicated turn lanes both on the south and the north branch, along with an intersection improvement. This is covered under the traffic flow and interconnect per the papers that were provided by the road commission. Guess what? CMAQ covered 100%. Let's go.
Thank you for your comments. Have a great night. Next comment.
Greg Hirschberger, 1934 Smith Road. Been a resident here since 1968. Living on Smith Road now, like Bill said, there is no way to get out of your driveway. Or the opposite, trying to get back in. People are cutting you off. They're going around you as you have your turn signal on, trying to cause accidents. Now you want to put a roundabout with 30 to 50% more traffic? It's insane. Totally insane. This whole project is insane. You could put an additional light on Jackman and Smith, have two lights side by side. You don't have to do any road work. You make the lights coincide so people can go turn left, turn right. It's about a $40,000 fix. You guys are talking millions. It's insane. You're talking about safety on the road. This is not, intersection is not even on the Monroe County 10 most dangerous intersections. We have 3 of them in Bedford. It's not one of them. I don't know why you're so worried about money and not safety. Put a roundabout at Secor and Stearns. Secor and Smith. They're the 2 of the most accidents in the Bedford Township. Our intersection is not even on the list. You don't even tell people that if you take this and put the roundabout in, you're going to close Smith Road down for 3 months, because that's about what it takes to put a roundabout in. We have a school right there. There's bus traffic. These kids are going to have to go extra 5 miles to get to school. It's ridiculous. That road is used all the time. You want to shut it down for 3 months. It's insane. I don't understand. But I'm not in government, so I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments.
Terry Keeler, 1952 Smith Road. I just kind of want to cap what these guys are saying. I've been living down there for 32 years now, and it's getting impossible. You're out there trying to get out of your driveway at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You better not try to back out, because you're probably going to get killed. And it's just totally nuts, because people, they do, I mean, you can at least, now they're getting stopped here and there, and you can try to get out. I pull out in front of people all the time. They're just blaring their horns at me, flipping me off and everything, and I wave to them all the time. You know, it's like, thanks for letting me out of my driveway, you know. And it's just, and then, like, if you got a roundabout, you're not even going to get these guys stopped. They got to run and start. Instead of doing 50, 60, they're going to be doing 70, 80 down through there. And it's crazy. You ought to see it when they try to pick up garbage on that street. The school buses come down there, and that causes backup of traffic for a half an hour just because the school bus came down through there. So there's got to be a better way than just letting everybody come flying through by our house and everything, because it's just, you got to control everything coming in. It's just going to be like the Wild West. You put a roundabout there. So thank you.
Thank you for comments. Any more comments?
Michael Miller. I live on Jackman Road, 6509. And not against a roundabout particularly, if it helps, but the designs that I've seen still have the curve that goes south. And I haven't heard from anybody on Jackman Road down across from the golf course, but when they come around that curve, they nail it all the time. And I've not seen the police giving tickets there either, and, you know, be that as it may. But if they do the roundabout, you're going to create another sweeping curve by the design toward the north. Smith, going right through where the bar was. And they'll do the same thing they do on the sweeping curve now, going south. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments? Okay. All right, moving on to AA, vouchers for payment. Ms. Hirschberger?
7.
Okay, number 7. We want to do that one. Okay, 7A, appointment to the Planning Commission. I am looking for the board to appoint Joe Lamkowski and Tom Corvette to the Planning Commission. First term ending 12/31/24. Joe Lamkowski and Tom Corvette are both long-time residents, well-educated and experienced professionals. That's my motion.
Support.
Okay, supported by Mr. Gore. Discussion?
Yes, I would like to say something. I'm so glad you guys,
pull
I
your
got
mic.
it.
There you go.
I'm so glad you guys were able to come together, sit down, and figure something out for this problem. This is how compromise works, and I'm so glad we are finally to this point. Thanks.
Okay. Any more comments? No. It's good to be one motion. Yes. Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Peroni?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye.
Okay, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8A, vouchers for payment. Ms. Hirschberger?
I'd like to make a motion that the following vouchers be approved for payment. General Fund in the amount of $278,119.78. Fire District Fund, $62,054.80. Police Fund, $373.31. Park Operating Fund, $4,111.13. Fire Equipment, $32,941.69. Transit System, $16,597. Downtown Development Authority, $1,135. Library Operating Fund, $14,528.61. Green Hills and other debt, $130,000. DDA Capital Fund, and I just want you to let everyone know, yes, there are two DDA funds now. $13,001.68. Sewer O&M Fund, $5,148.95. Trust and Agency Fund, $3,982.16, for a grand total of $561,994.11.
Support.
Okay, motion in support of Ms. Januzak. Discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8B, tentative preliminary plat approval for Village Meadows, plat 5 and 6 on parcel 5802-014-067-04 located on Temperance Road east of Lewis Avenue. Mr. Steiner, do you want this one?
Yes, this came before the Planning Commission on October 13th for the preliminary plat approval for Village Meadows, plats 5 and 6. The Planning Commission reviewed all the documentation that was proposed in front of us. No major changes from their original approval, which they had received back in October of 2019. As we all know, COVID took a toll on a lot of things, and in 2020, Mr. Bankowski, which is the developer, did not move forward at that time, so he's had to come forward again and have to have this renewal for the tentative preliminary plat approval. And if this goes through and then goes for the final, it will still have to go back to the Planning Commission for final site plan approvals before it proceeds. Therefore, I recommend to this board that we approve the tentative preliminary plat approval for Village Meadows, plats 5 and 6 on parcel 5802-014-067-04 located on Temperance Road, east of Lewis Avenue.
Support. Okay, motion in support of Mr. Montroy. Any more discussion?
Just have a quick question for Mr. Steiner. Is all the traffic for the new plats going to come in off of Temperance Road at the two entrances on Temperance Road? There's not going to be any entrance off of Lewis Avenue. I know the railroad tracks might be in the way there.
I have to go look back at his plan.
Talking like construction entrance?
Yeah, he's got
There
a
is a
construction right now.
There's a
It's on
construction
Village
entrance,
Meadows Drive.
but is there going to be an additional?
They do have multiple that's coming in and out of Village Meadows subdivision already.
Okay.
There's not just one entrance. So that's not like a brand new one going out to Lewis and over the
But
west.
he's saying there's not an actual designated construction
Yes,
route.
there is.
Yeah, there is.
I live in the subdivision, there is.
Okay.
It's off of, I think it's Buck Lane, and then you take that back on Village Meadows.
Okay.
To Village
Yeah, the
Meadows.
construction piece there, I thought he was talking about a brand new entrance.
No, I'm talking about a brand new entrance going
Oh.
right out to Lewis Avenue.
No, that's not a new entrance. So they've got two entrances going into Village Meadows already,
Okay. Off of Temperance Road, though.
off of Temperance Road,
But is
correct.
there anyone going off of Lewis Avenue?
There's not an additional one.
Okay.
So just so you know for your information, so neighborhoods in general, if they have less than 100 homes, they only require the one entrance. Well, when you go over the two, you're allowed well over the 100. So this has the two entries.
Yeah, so
I
this,
think they're
this one's,
farther.
it's not trapped the way it's designed, and it's not trapped, so they do have the second ingress egress.
Okay.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8C, final preliminary plat approval for Village Meadows, Plat 5 and 6 on parcel 5802-014-067-04, located on Temperance Road, east of Lewis Ave. Mr. Steiner?
As stated in the previous, the final preliminary plat approval now comes before you, since we have approved the tentative preliminary. This is the final preliminary approval. For the same reasons, the Planning Commission has recommended this move forward. And with the final, it's stated in here and in all the documentation that the builder must follow all the Monroe County Drain Commission, Monroe County Road Commission, Bedford Township Fire Department, Maddox Smith Group, and any other agencies. If there's any wetlands or anything like Eagle, all those approvals have to be brought forward and approved. Therefore, I am recommending that this proceed for the final preliminary plat approval for parcel 5802-014-067-04 as presented, and the builder following through with all the reviewing agencies and all the approvals before this goes back to the Planning Commission for the final site plan.
Support. Okay, motion is supported. Discussion?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who supported.
Mr. Montry.
Okay.
She wondered who supported it. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8D, approve the resolution to close Concierge Road between Secor and Douglas Roads for the gifts of lights display at Indian Creek Zoo. Ms. Hirschberger, I believe you and Ms. Rector was out at the property?
We were. So we went out, Joe invited us out to look around to see what he needed, if there was anything. And after he explained the traffic pattern that he would use, it should keep all the traffic off the road, but our concern was if it starts backing up, what are we going to do? So we advised Joe that he should apply for a road closure. That way, if the traffic does start to back up, they have something in place and they can follow through with a plan. And I think, did you want to speak on this while you were here?
Yeah, if one of you'd like to come up to the mic, feel free.
And as far as barricades, they're not really barricades. They would just be signs set up that would say no through traffic to keep some of the congestion out so the residents could get to their homes.
So the one concern from the resident that I think is legitimate for the mason jar, you know, you don't want people driving by, you know, because they're assuming they, you know what I mean? Maybe
Right.
There's
It's
a way
not
we
really
can
a
put it in front of the entrance.
Right, and it's not really a barricade, it's a sign that
Yeah.
says no through traffic. So it's not going to stop anyone from getting to the mason jar.
So when you say a sign, you mean like, just like
I believe the road commission has them that says no through traffic or something that we would be able to borrow.
Yeah, I
or
believe
something to
those are
that.
on the actual, Mr. Stewart, you probably know a little bit more. Those are on the actual barricades and have the
Okay.
sign in the center of it. I believe that's if you'd have a person staged, right? Just a stick in the ground? In the ground or the road? Okay, okay.
Is that like one of those big road closed ones that Greg Moore drove around?
I don't know.
Okay.
Joe?
Joe Garvick, 2740 Concert Road, Indian Creek Zoo. And because this is new to us at the zoo and some of the traffic, I had Trudy come out, and I appreciate that. I think you and Jody come out. And one of our concerns was not making it so the houses, instead of not coming here and not doing all this, it's backed up and nobody can get in. So What we did, we contacted the fire department, Allen, sheriff department, substation, sheriff department main office, and Monroe County ambulance. And when we had our meeting that day, we would take all the traffic coming out of the zoo to the right, head towards Secor Road, and anybody coming in that lives on the road, instead of having them backed up, if it got backed up, come in off of Douglas Road and go to their house, so there would be no interruption whatsoever. They could, you live on the road, you go, you turn left or you turn right. Our driveways before Barbara Lee and that, so they could go in from Concert Road, absolutely no interruption. And if it got down a little bit farther, where there was a subdivision, you're just coming off of Douglas to Concert and you're turning your subdivision. We'd have people to keep that gap there. What we did is, when Trudy and them was out there, we're zigzagging it through the zoo, the front where the horses used to be. So it gives us over 100 and some parking before you ever get to the road, zigging it back and forth. So it was just a precautionary. When I made the call, I didn't want it to affect everybody. So we said, what's the best way? Our partners in this light show is out of Indianapolis. They've been doing it for 30 years. And they said, if you get everybody going one way, you get everybody, because the worst thing we want to do is have you live on that road and get it. I think the only inconvenience, instead of coming off of Secor Road to get to your house, come off of Douglas, you'll say, I live here, and you turn into any way, left or right. So, so maybe it takes you a minute more to go around, on that. But hopefully we thought of everything, and hopefully it won't be, it'll never be down towards down there. But I think when I talked to Trudy, she said the best way is do this to try to stop the problems and make it not inconvenient for anybody living on the road. So we do have the ambulance. We do have everybody notified. As far as you'll drive in and you'll drive through the outskirts of the zoo. If you choose to park, you'll walk in the gift shop and you won't be by any cars whatsoever, because if anybody's been to the zoo, there's a loop and there's the middle part. The middle part's going to be where you can walk up. There'll be Santa Claus and s'mores and all kinds of characters and stuff like that we have every night doing something. We are only open Wednesday through Sunday until we get closer, 10 days before Christmas. Then we'll be open that whole time. A few of those nights, that we have, we're doing, and I don't know if Trudy, we're doing that, we're doing a dollar car back to, and we're doing it through, it's going back to, is it the Lions?
The Lions Club.
Lions Den. So every car that comes through, $1 will go back to the Lions Den, because after meeting, I don't want to be involved in where the charities go and this and that. They help so many different people. So I think that's just huge. We have certain nights here that military and veteran night and police night is completely free. We're doing a township night that's completely free. Anybody in the township comes through. And I think at that point what we're going to ask for is a donation if you want. You don't have to. And that's going to go to the Lions Den to give whatever. So hopefully it's good for the community. We've got 1.5 million lights up right now. It's absolutely amazing. We hope it doesn't get out on the road, that we keep them moving. We will definitely be there so people don't stop. But I actually drove through the night and I showed you some. It's kind of an amazing deal. And me and Patty's always tried to get back to the community and help, and that's what we really built the zoo for. We both have other businesses and livelihoods, but I think this is a good thing that we can get back and actually raise in the future lots of money. And I understand some of your concerns of getting a hold of some of you, but we're going from 6, 7 o'clock in the morning till 8, 9 o'clock at night. No excuse, but I've been in the hospital with COVID, and I'm just kind of back on my feet from 10 days ago. So, but if anybody's got any questions, we'd love to do it. But we think if they come in that way and they go out the other way, it's really, really, really going to be. Anybody living on Barbara Lee and the other street, what is it there? What is it? Sandra K there. There's no effect whatsoever coming in, boom, boom. It's really the through traffic is what we're trying to do. And we don't want anybody to come to the right. Mason Jar will not be blocked if we have to stop it. We're not going to do that to them or anybody coming off Secor. You just come in. We got to hold them back. But if there's something, Greg, we can get for a sign or something. we'd love to do that. So if anybody's got any,
So when people come in, they're coming into the first entrance of Concierge, and that's the same entrance, people that are coming
they'll come
in
in
will,
my driveway to my house, and they'll come in there and they'll zigzag through the whole front pasture.
but that'll be the same entrance for people that are going to be just parking there.
No, yeah, everybody.
You know what I mean,
comes
and
in,
walking?
Everybody comes in, you go through the zoo. So when you come up, basically it's X
So it's
amount.
one line, no
Yeah, it's
matter
one
if
line.
you're
Just
parking
start.
to walk in or if you're
And
riding
if
your car
you decide
through.
not to park, you just keep going out.
East entrance, right?
Pardon?
East entrance. You got two, so east entrance.
Yeah, yeah, so you'll go in one entrance and out the other.
In east and out the west. And then you turn west.
Yeah, and you'll turn west. So if you drive through, and I'll just give you an example, somebody comes through and they got grandma with them, they don't want to get out and walk, they drive around the whole zoo and they just keep going. If you want to stop, you can park, you go through the gift shop and never buy any cars whatsoever and go to what we call the walk up. And that's where we'll do the s'mores and the fire and the Santa Claus and what are some of them, Patty? The superheroes and princesses and that they're walking through. And that's where you'll go through that. So it's your choice, if you want to keep going or not. And we think that's just it's a neat mix. We've been around and looked at MIS. We've been talking about this for 3 years. And we made sure when we poured our concrete in the beginning that everything was 13 foot wide. And every time there's a curve, it doesn't, it goes off. And I tell you what, it's kind of lit up tonight. If anybody wants to come tonight and drive through, when we go home, you're more than welcome to see what it is. I think it's pretty amazing with that many lights. It's pretty crazy. And we hope it's a big event. And, we run 125,000 people through, and it's growing. And we, figure it's one of the biggest attraction here. And we feel we help the restaurants, and we want to.
Does anybody have any comments, questions for Mr.
I have a
Carver?
couple questions.
Mr. Bruning?
What is your plan if cars do end up backed up to the road? I mean, you're saying if, we hope not, what are you going to do?
Out there, Todd, and what we'll do is, to be down, that's why we're asking people that live there, come off of Douglas, you'll never be. I don't want somebody, if you're going to your house and you're going off Secor, you got to wait in line. You don't plan on going to the zoo.
No.
So, if you come the opposite way, you get to your house, or anybody on that road, if they do, we'll be out there with flashlights and do what all of them do throughout, the country.
And then because I've spoke with other business owners, and they've arranged parking off-site and had a shuttle bus. Did you think about you could have parking at White Park and shuttle people over for people
Well, they're
who
driving
want?
through. See, that's if it was, we've done that in the past when we have our baby animal days and everything else, we brought them over. When we did, the 5K run, when they shut it down for that little bit. But you're coming, 99% of the people are going to stay in their car. 4 times as many people go to drive-thrus and walk-throughs because K100's our sponsor. You'll turn your radio station on, you'll hear music. It's a 2-hour loop that they've set up. So if you come back another time, you probably won't hear the same music. So most people are going to stay in their car and they're going to go out. And I'm guessing, Todd, it's 20, 25 minutes.
And then also I have, because you want this to start November 12th. This is the 9th already. And this is just for us to approve it, for you to go to the road commission to get the okay to do this. So you would still have to go to the road commission from what I understand from Trudy, correct?
We submit everything to the road commission, and then they send, but their approval is usually within a couple days.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we're just doing it for the convenience of it, I mean, some places don't. They just, you run. I don't want calling the township and telling you guys it's a public road. We want to turn. That's why we met a long time ago and did this, and this was the
Like I told Trudy, at first, personally, I didn't really get it because I don't think it's going to get backed up down the street. And if it is, it will be a problem. And it's not something that they're going to abuse, as far as closing the road down. It's, they're professional people. They'll, I think doing this prior hand is a good idea. If they do have issue, they don't have to go through anything. They just take action as a business and they do what they need to do to,
75% of the business is 10 days before, right up to Christmas. Right now, we just don't see. Might be a little bit Friday night because the news is coming and they're doing.
Well, I can see your free day.
Pardon?
Your free day that you have. I mean, you could have thousands of cars.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
You're
also.
free, that's where you're going to have your issues. But I feel like with it, it's kind of like a roundabout. It just keeps going.
Well, so the other question I have, and you being a law enforcement officer would be able to answer this, Joe, if you want to chime in. So let's say the cars do get backed all over the road and they're impeding traffic. Can they be ticketed?
That'd be up to the local law enforcement as far as if they park their cars on the side of the road and decide to walk in.
Everybody
sure they
would
can.
keep coming. You know, there wouldn't be nobody parking to come in and walk.
One thing I've learned over my career that your best laid plans can still go awry. I mean, your best laid plans can still go awry.
Yeah.
You're
I
hoping.
want you to talk closer to the mic, Joe.
You're hoping everybody will come down Secor Road to get into, but you know there's people who are going to come up to Douglas Road and turn in.
We're not going to let them.
And things like that.
That's the one to stop them, because actually they're cutting in front of the whole line.
Well, what I have a problem with is you're going to have someone, like the one lady mentioned with no experience or training or anything like that, out there trying to direct traffic in a little yellow vest with a little flashlight. I mean, I've been out there in a fully marked patrol car with my lights on, and I've been hit 3 times in my career in a patrol car over 25 years, okay? They don't pay attention to that. I've seen that. Mr. Tisdale, I'm sure you've seen it on traffic crashes like that. So I don't want to see anybody get hurt. Sometimes sometimes it's best to let it run itself. But again, who are you going to have manning the barricades, and how are they going to be marked?
We're going to have a person at each end, and if they're going through, they're just through. We're going to ask them to go around. If they love on it, let them through. It'll be at the stop sign on both sides, you know.
And you brought up a good point about MIS. I've been up there. It's a nice display. It's a nice drive-through. But as big as that is on MIS, it was still backed up out into the street. I mean, we still were stopped on the main road, but I think it's 52 or something. I'm not sure if it's 52 or not, but right out there in front of MIS. You're going to get cars going through there. People are going to stop. They're going to want to take pictures, and that's going to create that accordion effect. And it's going to back everybody up out onto the street.
I see an accident. And then, like, also, it's fine for other drivers, but like my son, he's 16 years old, driver. He works at Forest View. He's heading down that way, Joe. He's going to run into traffic. And
I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to the lights. My family are going to come and go through the lights and everything like that. I'm just very concerned about, I mean, you're going to do very well. I mean, you're going to get a lot more than I think what you're anticipating.
And that's why we met with Trudy. We just thought if everybody went to the right, like if your son was going to Forest View, go to the right, then go down Dean Road or whatever, you know, but.
I would like to have seen you contract out with the sheriff's department and post a patrol car and a deputy out there to help run traffic. I mean, maybe that's something in the future. That's how the fair runs and whatnot.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. Like I said, I met with and went by the recommendations.
That's all I have.
Ms. Hirschberger.
I just want to say that Jody and I did go out there so that Joe wanted to follow all the rules, and one of the rules that we would install for anyone is you need a road closure, because if this happens, we need to make sure that everyone's been notified. The township's been notified, the road commission's been notified. Like he said, he notified the sheriff's department, the EMS, the fire department. They've all been notified, so there's a plan in place if something were to happen. If he didn't do this, then he's actually breaking the rules, and no one's notified, and no one is aware, and then that's when I think something's going to happen.
Mr. Montran.
Do the residents in like this kind of case, should residents in the geographical area have received something, a letter or something like that, if that's going to, like where they get a hearing or anything like that?
No, in the past, that's never been done. No one, I mean, they could if they wanted to. I mean, there's nothing that says they don't have to, but there's nothing that says that they have to either.
How many?
Well, like that last road closure that we approved, I did get a call from a lady that didn't know about it and was very upset, because, you know, I mean, when they blocked the road, they used cars.
And they said they did notify
everybody.
everybody.
Lady tried to leave. Well, she wasn't. I don't know if she just didn't get it, but when they tried to leave, there's cars blocking it. So this isn't this case. Obviously, they're going to have personnel, but
how many?
But we do need to address that in the future. That's why I say that, because we can't just willy-nilly close a road for a neighborhood and hope that they're going to do the right thing. There's got to be something put in place with it.
You can't block it with cars, number one.
They did.
I'm saying that's what.
And that's what happens when we just let the resident just do, hey, go ahead and do, they need to, something needs to be in place a little different.
Joe, you said it's a 2-hour loop. How many vehicles, have you guys done the math? How many vehicles would fit in that continuous loop?
We're doing, when we come out, we kind of lay out the front pasture. There's over 100 cars before we ever hit the road.
Okay.
And then when you come in, the biggest thing that we're told by the people, there's some pretty neat lights, is you keep everybody moving. You don't let them stop because it goes. So I don't care how slow your tires are moving, we'll be inside and doing it. We got some volunteers and different charities that's helping us that we're donating back to. So we're going to keep that. It's like a 20-minute loop, not 2 hours.
Oh, I thought you said 2 hours.
The music is
Oh,
2
okay,
hours.
okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So it's a
you'll come
20-minute
in and
loop?
Just keep going and going.
Because I guess my question was going to be, if your lighting partner has 30 some odd years experience, I was curious what their estimation was as far as seeing what your loop is and what their estimation of your traffic would be, if this would be if it's going to be an issue at all with the traffic and with the actual necessity of having
They're
a
all
road.
different based on size. Like MIS is humongous, it's miles, so they can just so much more traffic. I don't even know how, like I say, how long it is. I didn't do an odometer, but we drove through it tonight and stuff. It's 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then you just keep going out. So, if people are just a continuous flow.
And are you allowing people to stop? You're not allowing people to stop? It's they have to keep that. Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
There's a couple of exhibits that light up that they tell us to be it's tunnels. It's kind of neat, and they say you just keep somebody there and keep them moving. Because when you stop, it is that.
Yeah. That accordion.
If they never stop, even no matter how slow it is, and we'll tell them that when they come in, they'll come in, zig through the pasture, they'll come up, we have a double gate, and they'll go, because you'll be taking the money, and one will go, the next will go, and it feeds in, it goes all the way around, then it comes out. When you exit it, it's going to go out, and it's going to go exit, or it's going to go parking, if you choose to walk inside. Okay. There's over 100.
So I shouldn't drive my van in, because if I break down, I'll ruin the whole thing.
Joe, regardless of road closure or not, will you have somebody at the exit directing everybody to go
to the right?
To the right. I mean, because you will get somebody or two that are going to try to go left. It's going to happen.
They have to go right. I live that way. Go up and go around the block.
Okay.
Well, I can say I've been to the zoo a lot, and they run a tight ship over there. They got great staff. They've got professional people. They do an amazing job with what they have, and I trust that they're going to do, a great job with this. It's always what ifs on the first year. They don't know. We don't know. I could tell you this on the free day. Expect the worst, because when you do a free thing, everybody comes, and so that would be the one day, maybe you do contract with the sheriff's department that day, and other than that, I think with the staff they have and how it's run now, it's extremely professional. Mr. Matra.
That kind of leads to my other apprehension, is the length of time that you have. It's 2 months. It's not like a one night to contract with the sheriff department and have them be there for one night. But I also think that is very likely to spread out the traffic, I would think, as well. But that's kind of my concern too. Do you have a contingency on a closed road for 2 months? How does that?
You can make a motion however you want, but the road commission ultimately approves what we do.
Well, I understand it as well. This isn't like, you're not asking for the road to be closed. You're having a plan if it gets so congested that there's something in place if it gets that congested. It's not a make or break on the event happening whether we close the road or not. It's
if we let them exit and go left to right, it's going to be just a disaster.
Yeah.
If we let all the homeowners come up Douglas Road, get right to your house immediately, then there's no complaints, hopefully, and this and that. So I just think it's so much smoother than if we didn't do this and not letting the sheriff department know and everything else. So,
Mr. Steiner?
The biggest concern that I have too is and I'm just picturing in my mind, all the cars coming in off Secor Road to go to the zoo. And then on the way out, you're going to have another huge stack of cars on the outbound side. Now, what happens if something happens toward that end where it's an emergency? There's very high potential you're going to have inbound and outbound lanes both completely filled. Because when you go westbound, is somebody going to be down there and stop traffic so you can send 10, 15, 20 cars through at a time? Because if everybody's going to go to that intersection at Secor and Concierge, it's going to take forever to get people turning at that intersection. I mean, that intersection is busy already.
I can't answer it. I mean, I come up, it's a four-way stop with it. I don't know what it takes to go through, but people will be coming out at a, and it's based on, like I say, the biggest part's going to be 10 days before Christmas right now.
We'll have to put a roundabout there, Barry.
Because once you stack it up,
moving.
Holy
once you stack it up, it's going to stay stacked for the whole evening.
On Concierge Road, someone's car getting shot. They're going to freaking lose their mind.
I mean, Mr. Gore said something about let it take its course. I guess if you guys want to do that.
Well, sometimes I'm not saying doing that, but if one accident on Concierge and Secor Road at that four-way stop and you're sunk.
I get it.
And I think you're going to do very well. I think you're underestimating yourself. There's people are going to come. They're going to come multiple times. It's going to be great for the community. We just got to figure out the traffic, and there's going to be some knowledge bumps with this first year.
Well, here's your answer, Joe.
If you got any suggestions, we just start going to the right and coming the other way, but if you got anything.
Look at the traffic when we do fireworks in Bedford Township.
Yeah, but I don't think this meeting is to give Joe all the ideas or tell him how to run his deal. It's to let him close the road or not. And if we want to have another meeting on giving him ideas, we can do that. But we've got a full agenda, so let's decide if we're going to let him.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Do it, Joe, you can still.
I mean, we could give him 5,000.
Even if we don't approve it, you can still have your people out there saying, "Look, you got to turn right only."
Whatever you guys want. I mean, seriously. I mean, I'm up. I don't know if Trudy's got input. I had the meeting with Trudy, and I was pretty happy she educated us and got us, so we're just trying to make it.
This is what we would ask anyone to do. If you want him to follow the rules, we do the road closure. It's plain and simple. If we want him to follow the rules, we need to approve the road closure. If we don't care what he does, then we don't approve it.
And it's
But
just for
I don't want this to open a can of worms down the road when someone else is supposed to close it, and they say, well, you didn't close it for him, why do we got to close it?
What I think we need to do in the future is address our road closure policy. Because this isn't your typical road closure. This is,
Right.
Where we have a neighborhood doing a one-nighter for a Halloween party. I'm all for letting Joe do this because I know he'll do a good job with it. But I'm just saying, in the future, we need to check out this whole road closure policy, get with the road commission, and put something together for circumstances like this.
Because this has never been addressed before.
No,
The road-
this is the first time
The
for
road
something like
closure
this.
policy that we have, this is what it calls for. It's never been addressed.
So I'm going to ask a quick question and direct maybe down toward Mr. Goldsmith. We're being asked to approve or not approve a road closure. Simple. If we approve a road closure, can we put stipulations in things that need to be done at minimum for some kind of control to ensure the control takes place?
The answer to that is yes. You can. And I was going to make one suggestion. I agree with Mr. Gore that this is most likely, because if you listen to K100, it's been advertised, and I think it's going to be successful because there's been some pre-advertisement going on. So, and there's going to be a learning curve here. But what I would suggest is, Joe, you should probably have a sit-down right away tomorrow with Sheriff Goodenough, if he's available, or Chief Deputy Polly, and see what the cost to you would be to contract with the Sheriff's Department. Because if it's as popular as it appears it might be, you're probably going to need
certified law enforcement officers at the intersection of Secor and Consier and Douglas and Consier. I think your staff will be able to handle directing traffic as they exit to go west. There's always going to be some obstinate people who will insist on going the other way. Don't put your employees in harm's way if that happens. It's just going to happen. We live in a different world than we used to 20 years ago. So, and
then if there is an accident at the intersection, you at least have an officer.
You'll have a sheriff's deputy there who is trained to handle it and will be able to react to it and respond appropriately. It's an additional cost, but I think in the long run you'll be happy you did it. And I think you need to have someone there every day you're open? Probably not. Do I think you'll need somebody there the days that it's free to the Bedford Township? Probably yes. And there's a learning curve, so see how it goes. But if you have that put in place with Chief Deputy Polly or the sheriff or whoever amongst their administrative staff that they direct you, you're going to be in a lot better place, and I think you're going to be happy if you do that, and the board could make that a condition if the board felt that that was appropriate.
Well, didn't you already meet with them?
Pardon?
Didn't you already meet with the sheriff's department?
No, we just called them all.
Oh, you just called them, okay.
Yeah, we called them and let them know what we're doing, and the substation here and up there, and they didn't have any issues. And so.
Chief Deputy Polly may direct you to the person in charge at the substation to coordinate that. But if you do a contract, I don't know if Jeff Polly handles that or somebody. They could tell you who would handle that. They could tell you what the cost is, and it's actually a contract with the County of Monroe and the Sheriff's Department, and they would supply a vehicle, an officer, and on the heavy days, and we don't know what that will be yet, probably both intersections would be appropriate. Certainly, Secor and Consier.
Do you know if we don't need them, if we're charged? Do you have any idea or what? I mean, because I don't see anything in the beginning.
If they're not there, they won't charge.
That's a detail. That's generally correct. But if you reserve them and they're placed there, then you're going to get charged. But I think from a planning perspective, if you can kind of gauge how it's going, and if you have it all in place, you could call up whoever you need to call and say, okay, we're going to need them on this date.
Okay.
Based on what we're seeing, we're going to need them on this date. Then you're ready to go.
Yeah, it's not one of those things where you're going to be able to call them at 6 o'clock and get them there at 8. And that'd be the tough thing, is you won't know until it's.
It's a deputy on overtime. They have to sign up for it, because Rich had, when he was having all the problems, he hired the deputies.
Okay. So is any of those deputies, are they off-duty worker, and they're always on the clock for the county?
You don't want off-duty, because if it's off-duty, they can't wear a uniform, they don't have a vehicle. You want the vehicle with the lights.
No,
and
how it
uniform.
works is they just sign up for the overtime and they come out with a car.
Mhm.
Yeah. They're being paid by the department. You have a contract with the department. They're there in a marked patrol unit in full uniform. They have all of their coverage, all of their insurances are in effect. They are on duty. They're an on-duty police officer.
So if there's an issue with somebody that's going to the left and they want to, they deal with it, not us. And then I guess my other question is, everybody like the way that it's going out to the right and everybody coming in? If you live there, there's off of Douglas, there's no issue?
That's my question. If there's reason that I'm missing, it would make more sense to me to have the guest traffic come Douglas, make right turns in, come in, and make right turns out, rather than making left turns into the zoo. So I would think that'd be especially like that first stretch, even if it is backed up, you're talking, maybe 4 or 5 driveways between, if that.
It's not going to happen
between
either
there
way.
and Douglas.
They're going to come from every direction.
Well, that's the thing, is if they're not allowed to turn in, they're going to have to keep going out and figure themselves out on Douglas.
The problem is he doesn't plan to have somebody staged there all the time. So if you don't, he would have to have.
With the road closure, it would be, right?
Yeah, but that's only if traffic's backed up. With that, you're going to have somebody there every time he's open for the lights. Joe just wants to have this in place.
Well, this has it set up as people the opposite of what I'm saying.
I'm
So
just
it's
saying-
set up one way or the other.
You can still do that. I'm saying, though, to get it enforced, you have to have somebody stage there. Joe just wants to stage somebody there. If, okay, they're open and all of a sudden you start get 4 or 5 cars, 6 cars backed up, hey, we need to stage people. And that's when they wanted to send their staffers out there and block, and at least direct people.
Just figured it was a longer way going that way, that they're not going around Douglas Road and blocking it that way, but
That's on, that you're saying just gives you a longer stretch. I would still say I'd rather have it come in only right turns into the zoo, right turns out, and that would leave everybody else that lives on there full reign to come in, and the majority of those houses being on the south side of Concierge, they're coming in, they're doing the same thing. They're making right turns, and if they have to make left turns, it's only traffic basically coming out of the zoo. So if they needed to turn in their driveway, I wouldn't think that would be that big of a deal. That would be my suggestion, unless
you guys
there's
want it, but you're
a
going to
different
get them
reason.
coming from Secor then if it's not closed. You're going to get them all coming
Yeah,
the other
if
way.
you want to
But
have it be
if you-
specific, you got to close both areas. every
They just
time.
can't turn in though. So you'd have to say, nope, they're gonna have to go get at the end of the line on
But then you're going to
somewhere
have to
down
talk to
Douglas.
every person that comes in because you got Mason.
Or you
cars.
just tell them when they're sitting there trying to make a left-hand turn.
I know, but you could have 100 people.
Get out.
And I'll go that way, but if you have 100 people backed up, we can stand there and keep them going, but you're just going to,
I
you're going
think
to have them come in
here's
both
what,
directions.
here's what I think. I think the board should approve something tentative, and I think we should have a meeting with Mr. Garvick tomorrow and some of the people and try to work some of the details out. You know, I don't think we're going to get everything, Mr. Steiner.
Should we put this on the first meeting in December too, and see how November goes? Because December is going to be busier, but the end of November will give. Huh?
We got another meeting next week.
I know, but you're not going to have any gauge for what the business is this week. You're not going to have stopped traffic this week. So we could talk about it again on Tuesday. That'd be fine. But in the first meeting in December, you're going to have Thanksgiving weekend to look at and
You're
go,
saying-
all right, let's relook at.
You're saying let it go, let him do his thing, and let's see how it
I say
goes,
you could
bring
do it like
back.
this and then have it in the, I think we can approve this as is and then look at it again first meeting in December, and then you'll have some of your early course corrections will be able to be made and take another look at it. Do we need to say, yeah, you got to have a sheriff or whatever it may be for the month of December?
Mr. Steiner.
You know, I was going to say something similar to that too, just because of what I mentioned, having a westbound exit lane of traffic, you got an eastbound, inbound, a straight path. Come eastbound for the zoo, you come from the eastbound side, you drive west, you turn in the zoo, make a right turn, come out, you make a right turn. And here's my biggest fear of this whole thing. Let's just say even the outbound lane heading west. If there's a major structure fire to the west of your zoo and we got to get the aerial ladder truck down there, I'm going to say it, we're going to play hell getting that truck down there safely. That rig is big. And people don't drive and stay in lanes. People don't follow rules. And I'd be concerned about getting that truck down. You start getting traffic going both ways, and then you're gonna have a heck of a time. Because I think you're going to stack traffic up.
Did you guys want to add something? Yeah, come on up. Or Chief, you can come on up too. I mean, if you want to add something. I personally think we need to have another meeting because we're going to run out of time with everything we have on this agenda.
And thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dory Hawkins Freelane, the Managing Director for the Monroe County Road Commission. I wanted to add to the discussion that the Road Commission really has not, this is our first opportunity to hear anything about this opportunity. So we obviously have some concerns as well. You mentioned the time frame. That's an awful long time frame. We are concerned about the safety of the motoring public. I think it does deserve a little bit more discussion. I do applaud the effort. I understand that. We all like the lights, but I want to make sure that we're very cautious in this decision as we move forward, especially since the Road Commission, who has that authority for the closure of the roads, has not received all of the details. So I just caution us to be prepared for additional conversations and allow us to do our jobs to fully vet this opportunity and make sure that we're covering all the tables here. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So since you're new, I've been
Yes.
doing these for 20-something years. We have never presented to the road commission till after this. They didn't even want to see it till after we saw it and approved it. Is that something that you would want changed?
Not necessarily changed, and I appreciate that question. My concern is that this is slightly different. There is a longer period of time that's involved in the request. So because it's slightly different, I would like for the road commission to make sure that we do our due diligence in this effort. I think it's a wonderful suggestion to include the sheriff's office in that discussion, but my staff, my team, has not had the opportunity. You're going to make your vote, but what happens if we decide that it's not an appropriate closure? Then what do we do? And the time frame is so quick. I heard the 12th. That's like this weekend, right?
Yeah, a couple days.
That's
yeah.
Friday.
So I'm concerned about that, Ms. Hirschberger. I just think, no, I don't want to change the process necessarily, but this is a slightly different event and a much different time frame for closing a road. So I want to make sure that the road commission has the opportunity to do our job and make sure that we've covered all the bases because of the safety of the motoring public.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Matra.
With that, should we approve it to move it along to the road commission?
If they're going to take a look
if
at
that's
it, like
the,
you're saying, I mean,
if that's our,
it's not going to stop here.
Well, that's
They're
what I'm
just gonna
saying.
Go to the road commission now.
so then, yeah, so should we approve it just to pass it along?
Can we hear from Chief, his input on
If
it?
he wants to have input, he's feel free.
Thank you.
I would think for that question, we'll see what he says, but I would think if you had everything coming in from Douglas, all right turns with the Secor side open, I would think that'd be would leave you open. Go ahead.
The opinion we have when we looked at the plan is certainly the plan that's presented, or whatever the plan's going to be, whatever it ends up being, it's approved by the board and the road commission, is going to be a far better plan that we can work with when we understand how the traffic flow is. Our biggest concern is going to be if there starts to be a backup and there is no plan for closing the roads or any traffic flow patterns. So yeah, as it starts to get backed up, and if there wasn't a plan in place for how to handle the traffic backups, that would be a much more problematic issue for us, responding in for calls, and if we understand that the traffic flow is going to go in one certain direction, and it's going to be handled by flagging. So whatever the end result is, as long as there's a plan in place that we can work with, it's far better off than just seeing what happens, we feel like.
Mr. Steiner.
Mr. Goldsmith, would you recommend that I'd hate to say, okay, go ahead and approve it and then bring it back to another meeting and then say, okay, now we're going to disapprove this? I mean, would it make sense to not take the action tonight, have all the information still sent to Monroe County Road Commission, see what their concerns are, and get it back here on next Tuesday's meeting with whatever concerns they have? That way we have the appropriate motion and all the documentation in place to move forward one way or the other.
I think that would be fine. I think we should talk with our friends from the Road Commission and see if they would be able to respond to us by next Tuesday with their recommendation. As Dory said, there needs to be some more discussion, and I think that needs to involve law enforcement, the Sheriff's Department. I guess I'll ask you a question. I don't know even if you have a meeting scheduled, if the Road Commission has a meeting scheduled between now and then, or would your staff be able to, your road engineers or your staff be able to comment back to the township as to what you would likely, maybe impose isn't the right word, but what you would likely require for this to be a safe event?
We certainly do not have a board meeting scheduled before Tuesday. The other item on the
If you're going to talk, we have to have you at the mic. Sorry, the people at home are like, what's going on?
Sorry about that. We do not have a board meeting scheduled before next Tuesday. And as we are all aware, there's another item on this agenda that is probably going to occupy a lot of my staff's time, depending on what the outcome of that is. Matt is well aware of the need for a quick turnaround, so we will try to commit to some type of review and some feedback to this body, but my board will not have had the opportunity to dialogue about it at all if there's concerns.
Well,
so
here's the thing. I mean, they're doing the lights next week. So I mean, whether we close the road or not, so it's not a matter of that. So it's not like it's urgent to have this road closure or not. So
over the next couple of weeks, the road will not be closed, regardless of how we vote tonight.
Regardless,
because it's got to come from
The road commission has
Gotta-
to approve it before
road
anything
commission's
can
gotta
actually
approve it.
happen.
Okay.
So if the road commission has to approve it first,
No, we have to approve, then
Well, I
we
mean,
send
after
our approval
us,
to
though, I mean,
them,
but they
and
still
then
have to approve
they
it.
have the final approval.
right.
Whether we approve it or not, they have the final say.
Another option is to, this is just another option, to approve it, and we all know it's subject to the road commission's approval, but approve it subject to law enforcement approval and road commission approval and fire department approval. Because until you have a plan in place, Adam's not going to know, he's not going to have a plan as to how to respond should something occur on Concert Road that would require EMS or the aerial truck or any other apparatus that we have in our arsenal at the fire department. So you could do it subject to those approvals and get the ball rolling. That's another option. They're going to open, I presume, on the 12th. That's this Friday. Then they'll, and without there being a road closure, because the road commission isn't going to meet before then to approve or disapprove. So you could do it to keep it rolling.
What's being approved? Because from my understanding, it'd be the plan of action. If it's not an actual closure, you're approving the plan, correct? Like you're approving the contingency plan in the event, like this is a contingency plan only to be utilized in the event that the traffic would extend outside the zoo property. So it's a plan in that event is the thing that's being approved. Is that correct? Because it's not actually closing the road.
Well, the label that's placed on it is road closure.
Mm-hmm.
And has been discussed and talked about by many different people tonight, it's not a true road closure. It's got a lot of moving parts. You're not closing the road, you're allowing traffic onto the road for residents to access their homes and for what I'll call customers to access the zoo for the light display. So the road isn't going to be closed only to other through traffic. So it's going to be in use. It's something new that we haven't dealt with before at this location, and therefore you don't know how well it's going to be attended. And
so to the chief's point, I would think it would be most prudent to approve something so that there is a plan, so that there is something that law enforcement and like the fire department can know what that plan is. So in the event that it is utilized, I would say approve it, send it to the road commission, and then we could put it on, who knows, you can put it on the agenda, look at it again, and the next week and the first week of December. And I would make a motion if to that effect to just, if anything, to move the meeting along.
Just one more thing, it reminds me of an evacuation plan. there's no evacuation. This is a general plan of traffic flow. This is not an evacuation plan. So what if we get that western portion of Concierge Road blocked with traffic? There's an emergency. What is the evacuation plan? How do we get cars off the roadway? How do we make room for any kind of apparatus, EMS, police, anybody? How do we do that? And I think that should be a document showing how evacuation will take place. Do you send a cop car down the middle and say, everybody, hey, get the heck out of my way? You're
talking the evacuation plan just for the road.
Correct. So if we, again, what it is here, this shows the general traffic flow plan. But there's no evacuation plan in case of what if we really do stack up? What if there is an emergency? What do we do? Everybody's going to go, oh my God, what do I do? That's my biggest concern of it's going to be fully blocked. And I'm telling you, even though if you put an officer down there at Secor and Concierge, it's going to be so jam-packed. Like I said, fireworks over by the high school, a little bit different, but still. Been to the fireworks before, and how many hours just to get home leaving the fireworks? It's unbelievable.
Houses at the stop signs, they're going to have the worst in and out of their driveways. They'll be blocked.
So.
I have
What's
a
the
motion.
pleasure of the board? Go ahead.
Craig already made a motion.
Yeah.
He's got a motion on the floor.
I would make the motion with, I don't know, the traffic
Oh.
control plan, is that attached to the resolution? Because if
Yes.
it is, I would edit the traffic routing, guest traffic will enter from Douglas Road, and local traffic directed to enter at Secor. And I would make that change to the traffic control plan, and then, make to approve the resolution to close Concierge between Secor and Douglas for the Gift of Lights display at Indian Creek Zoo with the traffic control plan as edited, as amended, attached to the resolution. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
You beat me to it, and I was going to make a comment to that. With that, it's a continuous flow plan for the traffic.
I just think we need some kind of plan to keep it moving in case something happens, the
Any
fire
more
chief has
discussion?
I think we
something.
can bring it back in the next meetings or whatever.
Any more discussion? Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Montry.
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Janusik.
Aye.
Mr. Gore.
No.
Mr. Steiner.
As long as I know that the county is going to have final say in this, based on any stipulation from the county, I'm going to say yes.
Mr. Bruning.
No.
Mr. Peroni.
Aye.
Real quick, Paul, we just needed more time to hash this out. I wish it would have came before us like a
That's
month
the
ago.
problem with the road closures.
Yes.
I didn't know till it was on the agenda. So
Correct.
we
We
this
gotta
board
shore
needs
it
to, in
up.
the future, look at the road closure process.
Yes.
Okay, and the motion passed 5-2.
So I'm clear, which way do you want? Do we wait for the other comments and just let the people come right now, or what are we doing, waiting for the road? So this Friday night, I guess my question is, they just come and go in anyway until we get a final approval, or what do you want us to do?
You can run it however you want, Joe.
Okay.
We just haven't approved it. You can still stay with your plan. Everyone comes in, you know what, you're going to the right.
Okay.
If the road commission doesn't approve a plan, you continue on as you are Friday.
We'll try to just make everybody go to the right to make it fast, but.
This is your contingency in the event of very, very heavy traffic.
Yep.
Then applied as deemed from your vantage point.
So like the
I would
free
say.
night, you say, we're going to put this plan in place if it's approved by the road commission, so.
I would just strongly suggest looking at the sheriff's department, especially with the Secor Concierge. They could get traffic through. They can let 40, 50 cars go through and get traffic
I'll wait
moving.
to see if you guys approve it, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Moving on to 8F, approval to bid out and upgrade the phone system to the Bedford Branch Library. Mr. Montry, this is not you? Okay. Who put this on the agenda?
I didn't put it on the agenda.
Don't know. It's on the agenda, though.
I don't approve what's on the agenda, so.
The library board asked,
Okay.
and I put it on because
Okay.
they asked if it would go on.
I mean, I guess I can give my, if there's nobody here to, I can give my opinion on it. As is, 8F, I don't know that it was on any literature ever until very, very recently. I don't think that this was on any millage literature. I don't think it was even, like even in the ballpark of being, like it was something that was part of this millage, which I think is, I don't know, is neither here nor there necessarily. It is a capital improvement to a certain degree. It was, I guess, included in their budget this year in the budget season, but vaguely without any sort of dollar amount. And I would say along with that, this board has already doubled what it's approved of what is actually in their budget in this year for capital improvement. Their capital improvement budget, I think they requested $110,000, and this board already approved $250,000 for carpet. So you're already beyond that in that regard. It may be a good thing, and but I don't have, if they have, there's nothing in the budget, I don't think, to say, all right, well, how much do you want to spend for this? Or, you know what I mean? I don't think there's even a ballpark. So that's my,
I could
my
speak a little bit
assessment,
to
I
it.
guess.
I know their system's outdated, extremely outdated. I mean, 1988, it definitely needs to be upgraded. I know, you know, in speaking with Jody in the past, I mean, there's things that she just can't do, you know, that with our system. I mean, our system's pretty up to date. You know, there's a lot of things that, like if I'm not in my office, I get messages to my phone when people call the township phone. You know, there's just a lot of things that they can't do. So I mean, the 1988 system is out of date. If it is in the budget, you know.
Well, I don't know. How is it in the budget? I mean, like, that's a. It was in the budget. It was in this year's budget. When this year's budget was presented, it was included. I believe that's the first time I ever saw it being a thing at all. That was, like I said, it was never in millage literature. It was never in original budget breakdowns, nothing like that. It was presented as included in our budget for like the 110 grand that was requested. That we, like I said, this board's already blown past, so I don't know how you say, is it in the budget? I don't know. Like I said, we've already doubled the budget.
They have the money for it. It's only a bid, so I have no problem approving a bid. It doesn't hold them down.
Do they have the money for it?
Well, we can always turn it down.
Yeah, we can always turn it down. It's only a bid. Look, I'll make a motion. We put out the approval to bid on to upgrade the phone system for the Bedford Library as requested by the Bedford Library Board.
I'll support. Can you, friendly amendment, can you,
Yep.
for the next one, make sure it's money's budgeted for?
Make sure money's budgeted for.
You know,
So
that
in-
we have the money to do it if
to make sure they put it in there.
Yeah, we have an
I'm fine.
idea.
I'm fine
It's
with
probably,
that.
you know, what, $8,000 or something like that
Yeah.
to do something like this.
I'm fine with the friendly amendment.
Also, for another friendly amendment, that it's a sealed bid, because they request for a sealed bid.
I'm fine with that also.
Okay, we have a motion to support. Any more discussion? Would you call the roll?
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
No, and I guess I would say a millage does not equate to a blank check, and would be my reason for voting no.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Yes.
Hirschberger votes aye.
Okay, the motion passed 6-1. Item 8G, approval to purchase furniture for the Bedford Branch Library. Again, this was sent to Ms. Hirschberger, so.
Do you want me to break that down too?
Well, I think in the future, if there is agenda items, they should be put on by the liaison. Is that how we've done it in the, you know, like if you have something from the park, I mean.
They asked me, well, I asked them if anything needs to be put on, so.
That way he can at least.
Well, I mean, I
do
know
the
the
homework,
ins and outs
you know.
of it.
This one says it's budgeted.
This, well, so this is definitely more budgeted, and I think these items do fit in a little bit more accurately into the actual millage, I would say, and are more aligned with I would say, how the budget was broken down.
Perfect. Make the motion and let's get this going. Unless you want me to.
Go ahead.
You want me to? All right. All right, I make a motion, we approve the, let's see what they have here. Approve the purchase furniture for the Bedford Branch Library as requested by the Bedford Township Library Advisory Board. And total cost up to $6,000. They anticipate approximately $5,500, but up to $6,000.
I'll support that.
Oh, Craig, go ahead. Supported by Mr. Montray. Any more discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montray?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 7-0. Item 8H, approve the Public Safety Communications System 800 M8Z's pager agreement. Mr. Massingill? Chief Massingill? No?
What? I read through.
It's been a long meeting.
Just don't look at the clock up there, Paul.
Yeah, that one's wrong. Yeah. We would need an extension already.
Yep.
Mr. Goldsmith might actually be able to address this a little better than I
Okay.
would. But essentially, the county provided us a new paging system, and it's a vast upgrade over the VHS system we've used for the last 30 or 40 years. The pages are in place. I think this is just some housekeeping to formalize the agreement between the township and the county for that. Is that correct, sir?
That's it in a nutshell. It's unless we need more units than what's set forth in this, it's a cost that's borne by the county. Is that correct, Adam?
That's correct. We requested that. I believe it was 60. That was what we were provided a few months ago when we went live with this system.
And this is almost the same as the one we approved for the radios earlier.
All right, I look for a motion.
What was the difference in the new agreement? Like, what are we clarifying?
They're almost identical, except
what-
one is for the radios and one is now for the new pagers. We
Okay.
have both, and that's what I had to get clarification. I said, so did we get rid of one? Are these, so
That
they're
makes-
two
that makes
separate?
Much more sense then. Thank you.
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to approve the Public Safety Communications System 800 megahertz pager agreement 2021 between the County of Monroe and Bedford Township, and Bedford will have 60 pagers.
Support.
Supported by Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 7-0. Item 8I, approval to recommend the MCRC to apply for a CMAQ grant for a roundabout at the Jackman Smith Road intersection. Mr. Bushman, and if the road commission would like to come up as well with them, Greg, you know, anybody that's, you know, would like to come up and speak to it.
Good evening. Yes, regarding the roundabout, obviously there's been a whole lot of discussion on it, and there's a whole lot of history on the Jackman Smith roundabout. The Road Commission has recognized that as a problematic intersection since the 1980s, when they tried to do some alternate layouts and curves and the like, of which obviously over the years nothing's really made a significant improvement. It's an offset intersection they've been trying to eliminate for a number of years. Obviously, the Road Commission did apply for a CMAQ grant, which is a Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Grant, which is a 100% construction-funded project and program. At the time when the last grant was applied for and approved by the state, the township obviously moved forward with the land acquisition to build the roundabout. You have purchased the land. You have done all your environmental homework and taken care of the remediation. You have removed the old bar, a home, and the garage, and basically removed all contaminants from the site. So basically, all land acquisition is complete except for a small easement or land acquisition that needs to be on one corner, but that's a small area that was just discontinued, mostly for the reason that at that time it was the decision not to move the project forward, and so that further discussion was terminated. What we did over the years last time is look at the original estimate to see how much the project was actually going to cost. And obviously the grant was a little over $600,000, and the project was closer to about $1 million in cost. So we went through numerous revisions in cooperation with the Road Commission to try to come up with a reduced cost to the project, thereby each revision trying to take something out of the project to make it more cost effective. And I believe the last estimate we had was around $760,000. However, at that time there was still a lot of unknowns, and the project was still over budget, and so it was terminated. So at that time, we just
let me say something really quick. So just so past board members know, that's what was holding up this project for so long, is it was underfunded. The grant was underfunded, so it had to keep going back to try to bring the costs down, and eventually it got to the point to where the funding was done with the state, when we
right, and it became impractical to do anything more. Obviously, at that point in time, in fact, there were certain things that we weren't really even happy about at that time, like we had taken some of the lighting and the like out, which is some of the key aspects. So we decided it's not practical or in safety and from a safety standpoint, but mostly it was a cost overrun over the original grant amount. So that project was terminated. It is a CMAQ grant, which is Congestion Mitigation Air Quality, as I emphasized before, and due to that, and it is 100% funded, alternate types of layout that just would add a signal or a curve in the road or multiple curves in Smith and Jackman would not be appropriate or would qualify under that program. I could go through a lot of the rationale that I have on my second page, top of the second page of the memo, but I think it's probably easier for us to just show the actual Federal Highway Administration YouTube video, and it's about 10 minutes long, 10, 11 minutes long, and that'll probably tell the story about roundabouts much better than I can. So if you will take a moment and listen, then we'll continue our discussion.
Did you know that more than 20 people are killed and many more are seriously injured in crashes at intersections every day in the United States? Did you know that most of these deaths and injuries are due to right-angle crashes that occur at signalized and stop-controlled intersections? How much time do you spend stopped at a red light waiting for the light to change when there was no traffic on the cross street? Did you know there is an intersection alternative that is substantially safer than signalized and stop-controlled intersections and much more efficient? The U.S. DOT's Federal Highway Administration, FHWA, has identified modern roundabout intersections as one of 9 proven life-saving roadway safety strategies. Modern roundabouts are not only safer than traditional signalized and stop-controlled intersections, where appropriate and properly designed, roundabouts operate more efficiently, often have lower life cycle costs, and result in increased fuel efficiency. So, what is a roundabout? A roundabout is a circular intersection. Traffic flows counterclockwise around a center island. entering traffic yields to circulating traffic in the roundabout. Channelized approaches using splitter islands deflect traffic as it enters the intersection, slowing speeds. While the vast majority of roundabouts are single lane, 1/4 of the roundabouts in the U.S. have 2 lanes, which also provides safety benefits. Roundabouts with up to 3 lanes have been successfully built. Mini roundabouts can be used in low-speed urban environments in lieu of a stop sign or traffic signal. Roundabouts are different from other types of circular intersections that you might have seen. They are not rotaries or the older traffic circles, which are still common in the northeastern United States, which typically have higher speeds on approaches and usually higher speeds within the circle. They may use stop or signal control, or they may require circulating traffic to yield to entering traffic. A roundabout is also not the same thing as a neighborhood traffic circle, typically used on local streets for speed control. Roundabouts have several distinguishing characteristics and benefits, setting them apart from other intersection types. Traffic can move freely through roundabouts. This makes them more efficient than signalized or stop-controlled intersections. Unlike other types of intersections, roundabouts are designed to slow the speed of vehicles entering by deflecting them from a straight-line path into the roundabout. Drivers approaching the roundabout have time to judge for gaps in the circulating traffic and either yield or adjust their speed before entering the intersection. This allows for safer entries into circulating traffic. In addition to channelized approaches, signs and pavement markings on the roadway guide drivers to make sure they take the proper entry path. Roundabout intersections can require additional space compared to a traditional intersection, but they may be constructed within the existing right-of-way. Roundabouts eliminate dangerous left turns across opposing traffic lanes and virtually eliminate high-speed right-angle and head-on crashes. While initial construction costs can be higher with roundabouts, they often have a lower operating and maintenance cost than signalized intersections. They can have ongoing costs for lighting and maintaining the landscaping, but unlike a signalized intersection, there is no signal equipment to install, power, and maintain. Roundabouts have longer service lives than traditional intersections, resulting in better economic value over the long term, especially when you factor in the reduction of fatal and injury crashes. Roundabouts are also the greenest intersection alternative, and not only because of their aesthetic appeal. Reduced vehicle idling means fewer emissions and less wasted fuel. Less acceleration and fewer sudden hard stops means quieter, more peaceful transportation through communities. Landscaping in the Central Island, splitter islands, and along the approaches can further benefit and enhance community livability. With all of these benefits, why aren't all transportation agencies building modern roundabout intersections? One of the biggest reasons transportation agencies overlook this proven intersection safety solution is out of concern that the public just won't accept them. Trying one roundabout is usually all it takes to convince even the biggest skeptic of their benefits.
In the 12 years the department has been building roundabouts, we've had our share of skeptics. But what we found is after the roundabout is built, the skeptics become supportive of the idea, which is a tribute to the time savings and the safety benefits that a roundabout offers.
Some states now have roundabout policies that state that roundabouts should be considered as an intersection alternative. Numerous states like Washington and cities across the country like Carmel, Indiana, have embraced roundabouts and support their development. Washington State now has more than 150 roundabouts, and the city of Carmel, Indiana alone has more than 50 roundabouts, with many more planned.
We were one of the first communities in the Midwest to build roundabouts and make the determination that they work better than stoplights in many, many cases.
A common concern for people that have not experienced driving through a properly designed roundabout is that they won't be able to get used to the new traffic pattern. But studies consistently show just the opposite. The public overwhelmingly supports roundabouts after they are constructed. older Americans in particular are supportive of roundabouts.
By 2025, a quarter of all drivers in the United States will be over the age of 65. Intersections are the single most dangerous traffic environment for drivers of any age, with left-hand turns being the single most dangerous traffic maneuver that any of us can make. 40% of all crashes that involve drivers over the age of 65 occur at intersections. This is nearly twice the rate of experienced younger drivers. AARP would like to see more roundabouts constructed because of the many safety benefits that they present for drivers of all ages.
As with all new traffic treatments, thorough public education, effective signing, and pavement markings are key to educating all drivers on new traffic patterns. So, are roundabouts safe for other road users? In general, pedestrians face far less risk at roundabouts than traditional intersections, primarily because of the slower speeds and the elimination of turns across the pedestrian crosswalks. Splitter islands both shorten the crossing distance for pedestrians and allow them to cross one direction of traffic at a time. All of this adds up to increased safety. There is ongoing research to determine the most effective strategies for making roundabouts accessible for visually impaired pedestrians. The U.S. Access Board has been active in the development of design guidelines for roundabouts. The National Cooperative Highway Research Program, NCHRP, is also researching a range of geometric designs, traffic control devices, and other treatments to make roundabouts more accessible to pedestrians with vision impairments. Bicyclists can dismount and use the pedestrian crosswalk, or experienced bicyclists can ride through the roundabout. What about trucks and other large vehicles? Are they able to navigate through roundabouts? Roundabouts can be built to accommodate the turning radii of large trucks and trailers, just like any other intersection. Roundabouts generally have truck aprons, a slightly raised area around the inner circle that provide trucks, buses, and other large vehicles additional room to navigate the roundabout. So what do emergency service providers think about roundabouts? Emergency service providers are able to navigate through roundabouts with their largest vehicles. In emergency situations, roundabouts can be safer and more efficient for an emergency vehicle than traditional intersections. Roundabouts can work very well on a wide range of road types, including freeway interchanges, urban and suburban corridors, and high-speed rural roadways. Some people think they can't be constructed on state roads, but that's just not true. There are numerous examples of successful roundabouts built on state roads, and the number is growing rapidly. The importance of proper design cannot be overstated. Good design is critical to the success of a roundabout. Other keys to success include public involvement and stakeholder support. FHWA offers numerous resources, including a one-day informational workshop for state and local transportation agencies. To learn more, visit the FHWA Safety website.
Well-designed roundabout intersections have been proven to not only help traffic move more efficiently, but also reduce the risk of fatal and serious crashes. This is why the Federal Highway Administration is strongly encouraging state and local leaders to take a hard look at roundabouts as an alternative to conventional intersection designs. If you're looking for ways to reduce congestion, improve safety, and enhance your community's environment, modern roundabouts may be just the solution for you.
Yeah, hopefully that was a little informative. I think some of the key things to point out that's repetitive in a lot of the documents I've provided to you tonight in your packet is that some of the facts and figures, the 90% reduction in fatalities, 76% reduction in injury crashes, 30 to 40% reduction in pedestrian crashes, 75% fewer conflict points than typical four-ways. When they say that, conflict points, they're looking at all the possible ways people can intersect another vehicle by coming into a four-way or three-way intersection, and obviously in this case it'd be even greater than that. vehicle speeds are reduced around about giving drivers more time, and that was critical in the fact that they said properly designed. You actually come in with a curve that causes the initial vehicle to slow down, and then coming around the curve and around the circle, you're required to slow down and keep a slower speed. Some of the long-term savings costs that were specified there where there's no signal equipment. The service life of a typical roundabout's around 25 years, where a typical signal life is about 10 years. Savings of about $5,000 in electricity and maintenance costs per year with a signal, and the ability to accommodate larger vehicles such as emergency vehicles and the like. I did also provide for you another video that I won't have you watch tonight, but it's about 12 minutes by Cheddar, but it's kind of a little lighter version of what you just saw, but basically it says why U.S. hates roundabouts, and it kind of states some of the same things, but emphasizes the safety aspects of the roundabout. The other thing, too, is I know cost was a big consideration, and I've asked the Road Commission and the township to put together the best I can the known numbers that they have today, and I did send that out as a supplemental memo today when I got the information. We're estimating right now, we've not done a final estimate, but we're estimating it's probably going to be a $950,000 project, plus or minus, and that would be the grant amount that would be asked for. If we get that grant and it's approved, that would be, again, 100% funded with no local match. The current Road Commission estimate is that they've, including all the design costs, which they paid for so far, and their own internal employee cost is around $92,000. Bedford Township, which included some of the initial concept design, the land purchase, the demolition, the environmental, and the township cleanup and employee costs, is about $117,000. So all in all, about $209,000 has been spent on this project to date. Both agencies had agreed previously to spend up to $175,000. That's $350,000. So if you subtract the $209,000, there's about $141,000 remaining.
But let me add one thing to that, just so the board members know. There's two pieces of property there. Okay, you have the corner where the bar was, and then you have a landing strip that runs into Pollock's, okay, running east and west. That's a separate parcel. That parcel isn't needed after the roundabout's done, and we've already had offers around $30,000. I mean, we figure we could get back for it. So that's money that would come back, to the township afterwards. So, yes, we have spent 115, or what did you say, 120, but then another 30 could come back for that piece of property that we don't need in the end. We're keeping it now for construction purposes. During the construction, we could use that for staging and different stuff like that. So just so you know.
Very good. So what's left? I mean, basically, if the grant's approved and the estimate's correct, which is, we've had enough estimates by now, we ought to have a pretty good idea where we're at. But given that, the final design revisions, we'd have to do some changes to add certain things back in, finalize the design, get it ready for bid, and of course, we're lucky enough that MDOT now have changed their standards and specifications just this last year, so we'll have to update some of those. So we've estimated the cost for updating those specifications, and then construction engineering, inspection, testing, and survey, and we're estimating typical cost is around 12%. So those costs are around $134,000. Is there any other miscellaneous expenses? Of course there will be. There will be some items such as, there may be some other survey or legal costs as it relates to transfer of right-of-way and that sort of thing, because right now all that land is owned by the township. But those are pretty nominal expenses all in all, and so that's pretty well the summary. I think you're basically, right around your estimated cost to perform the project. So I think the video speaks for itself. Roundabouts have become a wave of the future and a safer alternative. I know a lot of people don't particularly care for them, but I think, again, as the video showed, a lot of people are become certainly much more favorable to once they've seen the benefits of them. So the Road Commission Board, and I guess I don't want to speak for either Dory or Matt or any of the Road Commission in general, but if you want to say anything about what your road board has done, and I'll turn it over to Dory and Matt.
I'll say this, one of the biggest issues I hear from residents is when they're pulling up coming from Jackman heading south to Smith, and you have both lanes, and when the person on the right's going to turn right, it's extremely hard for them to see because they continue to inch up, especially if it's a truck or a larger vehicle and a car. They move through that section, and it's very hard for them to see the turn right. So it's just a goofy intersection already, as he said, they've identified. So go ahead. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. I am going to definitely allow Matt Snell to speak to the specifics. He is the engineer. He has all of that level of detail. But on behalf of my board, I do want to reiterate that the board is in full support of this. They have committed most definitely to the $175,000 from the original plan. When the first opportunity was ended, we did commit to notify the township when the granting opportunity or the window reopened. That came about. It has a very short window. I believe the application is due by the 19th of this month. So thus the push to kind of make sure that everybody is on the same page. The Road Commission definitely wants to continue the collaborative effort of this venture, but we want to make sure that, as someone stated earlier, that everything is on the front end, that everybody understands all the details on the front end of this opportunity. So I'll turn any other detailed questions over.
Thank you. Mr. Matt.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Snell. I'm the County Highway Engineer with the Monroe County Road Commission. A couple quick things to note. The project construction year for this round of projects would be 2024, 2025, or 2026. So that would still need to be determined, but it would be one of those 3 years that we would apply for this grant. We believe that, or I believe that what's been presented in the packet that Barry put together for you and then in the video as well is an accurate representation of the benefits of a roundabout. As you all know, the current alignment of this intersection is less than ideal, and I believe that this is a viable alternative for this location to improve the area. And just from a pure road improvement and corridor improvement perspective, it's a very worthwhile project in our opinion. It also, as a kind of a bigger picture item, presents the opportunity for us to bring approximately $1 million into the county and the community, and that's always a good thing as well. Another perspective, our neighbors to the north in Washtenaw County, they've constructed numerous roundabouts over the past few years with a great deal of success, and there was some pushback from the community at first, but they've embraced them now. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And then that's all I wanted to add at this point.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a question for you, since you're the road engineer. All right, so I've been south sitting at Jackman, like Paul said, and hearing from the residents earlier, the ones who especially are going to live close to this roundabout, the only way that I have been able to make a left turn onto Smith Road is when that stoplight comes, because traffic is nonstop. So I have to wait for that stoplight. You put a roundabout in there. What, George? Closer? All right. So if you put a roundabout in there, I mean, the traffic's just going to keep going and going and going. I mean, how are you going to address that problem? How are the residents that live close to that roundabout, they'll be sitting in their driveway forever trying to get out.
Depends on the time of day, yeah, I would say.
Yeah, it does depend on the time of day, but like me at rush hour, if I'm sitting on Jackman trying to make a left-hand turn, the only way I am able to is when that stoplight hits red and it slows the traffic down. If there's a roundabout there, there's no stoplight.
Right.
So how do you address that? You just
I would say there's, not that you don't, I mean, with the roundabout, there's a continuous movement of traffic, and it's supposed to be more efficient, so I would say there would be windows and opportunities for people to pull out. It's a busy area. I mean, Smith Road is at least 10,000 cars a day. There's a lot going on there, and it's not going to reduce the traffic volume, but it should get things through there quicker and more efficiently.
Is there any other alternative besides a roundabout?
Well, as Barry mentioned, I mean, there would be the possibility of realigning the intersection to create more of a T approach, with good sight distance and good alignment coming up to a square intersection, I guess like Smith and Douglas or something like that. However, first of all, the grant wouldn't fund that. This grant funds initiatives that are to reduce congestion and improve air quality and things like that. So the road commission and or the township would have to fund that completely. And then the other item there is that there would be a lot more right-of-way needed to be acquired for that.
Okay, so if we put a roundabout in, it's gonna possibly alleviate the congestion problem, but it's gonna make it worse for the residents that are right there already.
I'll speak to it as a resident that lives off Smith, right across the street from the guys that spoke and left. I don't see 10,000 cars at Jackman and Smith. You might see it at that whole stretch. But has the traffic count ever been 10,000 at Jackman and Smith?
I don't know what it is at the exact intersection. I'm just going off kind of what I recall from, we take traffic counts at roads, at segments, so between like mile segments, basically.
So for me, who lives right there, by everybody else that was complaining about it, I don't have an issue getting out of my driveway. And part of that is because you do have a light at Summerfield that stops traffic. So you're going to have breaks in traffic. You're not going to have continuous because you still do have lights at Telegraph, Lewis, and Summerfield. So traffic's not going to continue. They're always going to be stopping. They'll be slower at those other intersections. So, I mean, you can't do 40 mile an hour around a roundabout. You're doing what, 25 max?
They're designed, to slow you down through them.
You do, you can do it.
I'm the one who screws with your little signs on C4 too.
You know, so I mean, it's, you're not the one that did 158.
No, that's not me.
I just say, man.
I try and keep it in the red.
Figure out how you did that. Mr. Madre?
Yeah, I was going to address the citizens' questions about that, and I was curious, and I don't know if the data is available. Well, and going back, I guess one thing with that intersection, it's continuous. Like when Todd, when you're saying you're sitting in that spot, like it's continuous, but it's a big rush from one way and then a big rush the other way, and that's why you're stuck where, and they're talking about the speeds too, that I would assume, like I understand their apprehension, but I would almost assume that would even be alleviated because no one's hitting a green light. You can't just keep flying through. You have to, every time, every direction, slow down to get through there. So I was curious if the data is available on getting out for those areas closer to, because you think of where a lot of roundabouts are the ones that I think of around here. There's not a lineup of driveways in close proximity to that. And I was curious, like, I don't know. Like, I almost foresee it as it would probably alleviate it because it kind of forces people to slow down, and they're sitting in the same situation as somebody sitting in a roundabout. You can't go in the roundabout unless it's clear to your left. So I would think that they would be sitting in that same situation.
Well, I guess simply stated, as noted in some of the documentation provided, a roundabout does increase the traffic flows by 30 to 50%, general traffic flows. One of the problems we have in Bedford, and we all know it, you get 10,000 cars a day, you got a two-lane road that's very congested. That's happened on Stern, Secor, Smith, a lot of our major east-west roads. This will actually allow more efficient travel through the intersection and give opportunities at slower moving traffic, bigger break opportunities for breaks. It's a proven fact they increase traffic capacity. It's I have a home that's just off Smith Road, and when I come down, I can attest how much traffic Smith Road accommodates, especially in morning and evening. It's people, and a lot of it is Ohio license plates using that road, but this is an opportunity to really efficiently move traffic, and it's documented, and that's why we're suggesting a strong look at this.
So just a couple questions, whether it's Mr. Bushman or Matt, was it? Yeah. So, because I've heard conflicting information, but I've read information, because I called Mr. Bushman myself, and I talked to a couple people here as well. And I said, well, why can't we just utilize the existing curve, so on and so on? And I heard from the audience tonight, somebody said that certain options could be covered by CMAQ, but it says in your presentation, I've also read it, that it says that realignment of the roadways is $0 by any kind of CMAQ grant.
Correct.
Are there any other kind of grants out there for road realignments or reconstruction that would even come close to this CMAQ? I mean, if you don't have it right off your top
Not
of
that
your
I'm
head.
aware of, no.
I don't know if Mr. Bushman, I don't think you. So that part, at least we know, 100% of, and it does say the physical construction of, not all inclusive, but the physical construction of, which is now we're going to be pushing that back up closer to, from the way I break everything down, probably another 700,000, 800,000, give or take, on physical construction, plus the monies that have already been spent for all the engineering and things like that.
Just as a clarification, the physical construction would probably be closer to 950,000.
Okay, so in the way I broke it down and looking at the numbers, Monroe County has spent 92,000, Bedford Township at 117, as Mr. Bushman stated. That's 209,000 off of the 350 that has been allotted by the county and township. Remaining amount per the agreement has $141,000 available. So your preliminary numbers here show the final design around 20,000, construction, engineering, et cetera, 114 for 134. Out of that 134,000, based on the monies that are already spent, Monroe County Road Commission would be, if it came in at 134, Monroe County Road Commission would be at 79.5, and Bedford Township would be left with a balance of 54.5, and we would both be spending 171.5 at that point. So that's an equal number. The couple questions here also, we talk about still a possible easement or land acquisition. Is that still going to be required, and which piece of property is that? Is that the
building?
property?
It's the old Edmondson building. We still need a little slice of that.
That's what I was thinking.
Very small slice.
And that's what I was thinking based on the drawing. So hopefully we could get it done by
I've
easement.
had many communications. He's totally in favor of it.
Okay. And again, whatever we do tonight, it's strictly to consider the grant. It's not approval to spend the money yet at this point. In fact, we're looking at, like you said, 24/5. Hopefully not that long. If we're going to do it, hopefully it's sooner than later. If we're going to do it, let's do it. And then just a couple quick comments regarding the safety. I've been through plenty of roundabouts myself. I can't give you factual data, but I also have been to intersections where people stop and you wait and you wait and you wait. And what does a person do a lot of times when they see that green light? They put the hammer down. And I actually have seen people go faster because I sat there for 3, 4, 5 minutes than somebody that goes through a roundabout, forced to slow down. And I think it's going to create a metered approach of the traffic. Sort of like, anybody been to California and see the little stoplights when you get on the expressway? You get a red or green, and it meters that traffic. So to me, this is almost like a metering process. Hopefully that would, A, slow them down, and B, hopefully that would give that spacing for people to be able to get out of their driveways. The other side of the coin, speed, completely different process, nothing to do with Road Commission or Bedford Township. That's something we just need to keep working with the county sheriff to really put the hammer on that road, and we just got to patrol. I know they've tried to patrol it before, and I know some of the residents said they really haven't seen the activity there. If it's not there, we can talk to the sheriff and say, look, we need to see more presence there. But if they've got presence, I don't see every car that gets stopped and pulled over. I rode with the police before, and right out here on Dean Road.
Well, and we don't know if they're ticketing them or not.
Right.
People
But I
assume they're not
right out here on Dean Road. I mean, and of course these police officers, I'm like, how in the world? I mean, I could tell the guy was going fast. He goes, that guy's probably doing at least 80, 85 miles an hour. I'm like, really? And sure enough, boom, he goes by us, and we clocked the guy at 88 miles an hour. And luckily, the guy stopped, when we took off after him. But yeah, we just need to keep working with the sheriff and really push on patrolling that road, because I know it's not a real wide road, and people do drive like maniacs. And that's the problem. We've got laws for everything under the sun. Do people break them? Absolutely. Do people break speed laws? Absolutely. And, we can educate, but I can't, like say, you can't lead the horse to water and make him drink, right? We can't put a law out there, and if you're not there on top of them, how can you force them? But you got to patrol it.
Mr. Gore?
First of all, I drive that road every day to and from work, Smith Road. I go through every one of those intersections from Secor and Smith all the way to Telegraph and Smith. I don't know where these people are talking about cars are going 67 miles an hour. I'm lucky if I hit 40 or 45 going to and from work. That being said, a couple questions. So it's a goofy intersection, but so was South Stone and Yagerville, and you guys didn't put a roundabout there. Remember when that goofy intersection? And you guys finally straightened it out, the road commission finally straightened that out? It was two roads coming into one, you can turn right or left. Was that not an option for a roundabout there? Or?
That would have been before my time at the road commission.
Okay. Secondly, we talk about the cost of the grant, and where you said it was like $975. That's what the grant would be if we were to get the grant. $975. Okay, we get the bid now. That's nowhere near what the inflation's going to be by 2024 or 2025. Who's going to cover those overages? All your materials are going right now. The inflation is through the roof. I mean, who's going to cover those costs of the increased labor costs, the increased material costs? Who's going to cover those overages?
Well, as I noted in my memo, that we forecast the project cost close to $1 million.
Right.
I took a close look at the numbers of what the late assessment was, adding back some of the things that we thought were important safety features, adding some more of the lighting and the like back in, and came up a little under about 930. I think it wouldn't hurt to, as we look at it, to play a inflation factor. We can always bump up the estimate a little bit more to play for safety, because, or to account for inflation, because we all know with ARPA funds and everything else, there'll be less or about the same number of contractors, but more work. So I think an inflation factor for a couple, 3 years would probably be appropriate. We have applied some, but I think, I'd let the road commission make that judgment call, what they feel. They have pretty well documented what the inflation factors are of what's going to be projected.
Right. But Joe, just so you know, if it did come in at 1.1 million and the board's like, oh my gosh, it's way over, there's probably wiggle room within that plan if they wanted to back out the sidewalks. Or did you add the sidewalks back in with the new plan?
So curbing, some of the curbing.
I just don't want to get
into
into a project and be stuck. It's like, oh man, we're into it deep now, and then we got to keep pushing forward, and all of a sudden the costs are through the roof, and that can't happen.
Your guys' inflation was kind of for that for a few years, a little bit.
Yeah, I think that, the one thing that we have to be aware of, though, is that, and Matt, you might want to speak to this, but every application has there's a factor on how everything's calculated in terms of how well you score on your grant application. So if we have the higher the number and the less benefit, it's like a cost-benefit ratio. And if that cost-benefit ratio drops, you may not qualify. We may not even get the grant. But we want to be sure that we have enough money. We certainly don't want to fall short. That's the key.
Correct me if I'm wrong, with the last grant, it was underfunded. You fell short.
It certainly did.
Yeah, and definitely not going down that road.
No, agree with that.
Thank you.
One more for you, Barry. All right, so for tonight, the only thing you guys are asking for is just approval to go for the grant. Like, you can get approval for the grant, and then you still have to come back for us to give you the approval to do the roundabout, correct? This is just to get the money. Yes.
Correct, yes. For the road
Is-
commission is a sponsoring agency, and we, are wanting to partner with the township on this again, and that's what we're looking for tonight, some sort of, our board has requested a commitment on your part to partner on this again, and at least apply for the grant. And like Barry mentioned, I should have mentioned that before too, it is a competitive grant. There's no guarantee we'll get it, but at least it starts the ball rolling, and we throw our hat in the ring at that.
And then to apply for this grant, to go after it, will it cost us any money for that?
As far as submitting the application, no.
So right now, if we gave you approval, that's just for you guys to go after the grant, see if you could get it and see how much that they would approve us for, and then you'd have to come back for approval to even do the roundabout.
Well, at that point, if we get awarded the grant, I guess that could be another discussion we have with the township where we want to go from there. I mean, we will apply for, after we sit down with Manick and Smith and get a better idea as far as the estimate, what we're comfortable with, we'll apply for that amount. If it's awarded, say $950,000, $1 million, whatever we wind up deciding, that's the amount we'll have to work with. At that point, we begin refining the design and continuing from there as far as progressing with actually getting it out and ready to bid in 24, 25, or 26.
So this could be like that subdivision over there, where they awarded the grant for the bridge, but then we denied it, so we could do the same thing with this?
It's just like an SAD.
Okay. I
An
just want
SAD
to
comes here,
make sure that
You know what I mean? They have multiple times to pull the names off,
everybody
so-
knows that
yeah.
even whatever we do with this, it's only for them to go after the grant.
Correct.
If I may, excuse me, if I may add to that, you're absolutely correct. That's what the request is tonight, for us to proceed with the grant application. But just like the last time, if it is determined that the estimates that we come up with are not sufficient, we have the opportunity to not accept that grant.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is Mr. Steiner, do you have something?
So-
But we do need a motion to extend this meeting a half hour.
I'll make motion to extend the meeting.
Support.
Okay, motion and support of Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion?
So
Call the roll, please.
So
I need a
Mr.
roll.
Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Jandasek?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 7-0. Continue on. Thank
So do we currently have the documentation ready from Manick Smith, the County Road Commission, to put with the grant? Is it ready to go? Has that been presented to the county? Everything ready, or does something have to be tweaked before it comes to you to finish the grant?
As far as submitting the application, it's a matter of, like Barry mentioned, there's a form you fill out that goes over the benefit as far as emissions that are going to be eliminated and things like that, and then calculations on there as far as like the benefit cost analysis, like, dollars per emission reduced, things like that. So that's, we do submit an engineer's estimate with the application as well. Barry, I believe, finished that up as far as what he's presented here today. We have not seen that yet, but we have a week or so before.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Basically, the design and everything he's got ready to send you to.
Well,
to
at this
add.
point, we don't need to have the design totally finalized. We would need to
Right,
get the
but
grant awarded
the-
first, but we've got a good baseline estimate.
Yeah,
and
so
that's
we know
what
it's going to have to be tweaked at some point.
Yes, sir,
Yes,
yep.
and that's stated here, so.
Correct.
But right now, you've got, for the most part, what you need to put with the application with Barry's sending to you.
Correct, yes.
Okay, any more comments, questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion. I'll make a motion we approve to recommend the MCRC to apply for a CMAQ grant for a roundabout at the Jackman Smith Road intersection. Support. Motion in support of Mr. Montry. Any more discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
No.
Ms. Jandasek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye.
Okay, the motion passed 6-1. Thank you guys so much for coming here and hanging in this long. It's been a long meeting. Okay.
Just real quick, is County
Yeah,
Road,
man.
Long meeting to show up to.
is County Road Commission closed Thursday? Are you, okay, I didn't know if you were closed for Veterans Day or if you're open. Okay, thank you.
Okay, item J is discussion on auctioning off equipment and vehicles. So we've talked to multiple different companies, and I'm going to make it short and sweet. At the end of the day, we just don't have enough to have a live auction. So I think we have a nice bid for the dump truck. I think I need to be more aggressive. If you guys give me approval to sell the vehicles that we want to sell on Facebook Marketplace and some of these different, just instead of just throwing them on a government page and Facebook in general. But as of right now, our ordinance vehicle that was handed to us from the Sheriff's Department last year is down and probably not ever going to be operable again because the Cadillac converters are out and they think it has major issues outside of that. So it's good that we have extra assessing vehicles right now, so we could keep running. But I think we just need to continue to try to sell what we have. We have a really nice trailer at the maintenance garage that we don't need, and just kind of take our time selling stuff, but we just don't have enough for a live auction. Mr. Gore?
Paul, just so you know, I did go to LKQ and Cherry Pick. Neither one of them were interested in the trailer. Cherry Picked would only, and just was a rough estimate, they asked a lot of questions. If it ran, were the catalytic converters with it? And I had not known that they were missing, so I said yes, they were. And for the dump truck, they range from $700 to $1,000, $800 for the Crown Vic, $1,500 for the Expedition. LKQ was even cheaper than that, or less than that, and I did not get any type of information for the dump truck. So $1,500 for the dump truck. Let's do it, and whatever you want to do with the other cars.
So I say we just move on from the live auction. If the board wants to, I don't think it'd be ideal. We can hold our own auction, but I don't like the idea. But I think we just scrap the live auction. They're going to take so much of the money anyways. I think it was like 20%.
The difference, they were worth a lot of money.
Worth it.
So at the end of the day, I think we just, it's nice having some extra things, it's not killing us. So I think we just move on. Okay, item K, accept offer for the dump truck, 1994 F800 dump truck. Ms. Hirschberger?
So we did receive a bid for the Ford truck. It came in as $1,500. It's just been sitting there. We didn't have the bid online anymore, but this bid came in, so we held official opening since it was the only one, just to see what it was. So we're presenting it to the board for your pleasure. The board wants to accept it, deny it, put it back out, whatever we want to do.
I'll make a motion, we accept the bid in $1,500.
Second.
Motion in support of Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Peroni.
Aye.
Mr. Bruning.
Aye.
Mr. Montroy.
Aye.
Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek.
Aye.
Mr. Gore.
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye.
Okay, the motion passed 7-0. Moving on to comments from the public. Comments limited to 2 minutes. Come on up.
Jeff Myers, 2781 Vicky Lynn Drive. Thanks everybody for the input on the closure. I think that was an excellent suggestion, doing the Douglas one way and right in, right out. That's going to move things a lot better. I don't think it's going to be perfect, and it's going to be a lot of growing pain, but there's going to be a couple things that I'd like the township and the design professionals that you're relying on to think about with this new venue and the lights and everything. I know this is somewhat of a change of a use for the zoo, but it's not impacted. It would bring a site plan to the township where they could see stacking and actually how things function on the site. I think it's kind of important that they had a master plan that shows where things are stacking, how site circulation is impacted for these kind of special events. One of the things that I think is really important that you guys got to think about is where are they taking the tickets? Because there's going to be a little delay at each time they pick up the cars. There's going to be a delay. Is there going to be 1 gate, 2 gates, 3 gates, 4 gates? Because as soon as they take that ticket, there's going to be stacking, and traffic's going to back up. Something to think about. A couple other points I didn't get a chance to expand upon in my earlier conversation. You got a really good opportunity here with the zoo, the park, and the roads, and doing some road improvements, get some sidewalks. Conseer has a stone berm. It's not safe for pedestrians or bicycle traffic at all. I can give you numerous examples. I think that there's awesome opportunities to provide some connectivity between Indian Creek Park, White Park, and to the zoo.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. We appreciate it. Any more comments?
Hi, Ron Haskins, 7187 Maplewood. Just want to make a comment here regarding the fire department millage. I voted for a fire millage. I did not vote for an ambulance millage. I don't know why our ambulances are going to Lenawee County. I don't know why they're going all over Monroe County. Well, I know why they're going around Monroe County. We now have an agreement with MCA for backup for Monroe County. So they're going out of Bedford. Last week, there was a standby for the sheriff department on a warrant. They went up to Frenchtown. Frenchtown has ALS up there. From what I was told, they were requested because MCA wasn't available. You go into another area, is customary and actually professional before you go in to notify that department, give them the chance to respond. The guys up there noticed the run went down on CAD at 10:42. Bedford was standing by at approximately 11 o'clock, and the chief up there wasn't notified till 11:07. That's well into the event. Frenchtown could have taken care of the call. Bedford didn't have to have their cars going up there. So that meant you had a unit with 2 or 3 guys, I don't know what they had staffed, going up there. So half an hour up, half an hour down. If they spent a half an hour at the scene, I don't know. So that's an hour and a half for that ambulance that's supposed to be serving Bedford to be coming down here. And also on that, why Bedford is well, okay, I guess I'm going to have to cut there.
Thank you for your comments. Have a good night. Any more comments? Okay.
Can we have the chief address that or no?
If he wants to.
Josh Stump, 7178 Wilshire Drive. It's 10 o'clock, so I'm not going to try and get too riled up. This planning commission appointment that's been going on for over a year now, obviously I followed that step by step since the beginning. I've talked to a majority of you one-on-one through emails in person. And the thing that I brought up the most was compromise. It was something that I thought that the board could come together and do the right thing for the community and move forward. I think we've done that. The thing that bothered me the most was an email that I sent out to 2 trustees that somehow was FOIA'd and then brought out into the public. Then I got accused of collusion, selling votes, trading votes. Not sure how I can do that as a public citizen, a taxpayer. So that was frustrating for me, especially because one of the 2 emails that I sent was exactly what you guys just did today. Okay, I said there's an open seat in November. You guys get Tom Crovette. The other person gets whoever they want. We move forward. And that's exactly what happened. So it's very frustrating to get dragged through a public meeting and accuse me of selling votes, trading votes, and then go and do exactly what the email stated, one of the 2 emails stated. So very frustrating for me. I would love to talk to anyone about it, one-on-one, personally, doesn't matter. I'm glad we can all move forward, though. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments?
Good evening. Jeff King, 692 Seminole Trail, Temperance, Michigan. I am going to speak tonight to the vehicle replacement plan that we do not have. And I just want us to think about how the fire department is running a plan for replacement of all equipment. And it is not limited to vehicles or to operational procedures there's a plan in place for everything. And so as we look about potentially retiring and taking out of service vehicles and removing them from our position and putting them into private hands, that we look at the replacement costs associated with losing those vehicles and how we can spread that cost out over time with any plan, just to make sure that we are doing our due diligence with the money that is coming into the township, the money that is budgeted for such items, and how we do that responsibly. My other comment this evening is to the road discussion for Concierge. And I have worked with many different community groups when I worked with the community college for their family nights in the early 2000s, when I have gone on trips to do giveaways for holidays. Management of your line is going to be your biggest issue, and we know that we are limited in the space we have, and we also know that there will be people who will want to stop and get out, and we have to also think about the people that want to leave once they've stopped and gotten out, impeding the traffic flow. Nothing we'll know until we get there, but I'm very excited to see what presents itself this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments? Okay, seeing none, moving on to comments from township board members. Mr. Steiner?
I was going to not say anything tonight, but I do have to make one clarification. There was a comment just made a few minutes ago about accusations that took place at this township board at a meeting of stealing votes and mentioned in public. That is a completely false statement. The gentleman that spoke was not accused of stealing votes in our public meeting. It's on video. It can be watched. And I'm not going to go into the details that are further behind this to prove that I am 100% correct and accurate in my statements. There's a lot more behind it. If anybody wants to know what it is, call me, email me, give me your phone number. I will explain to you exactly what took place. That's all the further I'm going to take it at a public meeting at this point. But it was an inaccurate statement.
Mr. Montry?
Nothing for me.
Mr. Gore?
I'd just like to say thanks for everybody for sticking around. Please visit the Indian Creek Zoo. I think it's going to be a success. I'm excited about it. I'd like to say happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. Happy birthday to Todd over here.
Semper Fi, Marine Corps birthday tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah, so anyway, everybody have a good evening.
Okay, Mr. Bruning?
All right, Joe and I already did Marine Corps birthday, so all the other Marine Corps brothers out there, happy birthday tomorrow, Semper Fi. We have Veterans Day on November 11th. And then also, believe it or not, people, November 11th, my wife and I have been married 26 years. I don't know how she put up with me that long, but
I second that.
26 years. That's a feat for anybody. Other than that, everyone have a good night.
So did you want to wish her a happy anniversary?
Well, I just said happy anniversary.
You just said how she put up with you.
Well, again, I don't know how she does. She's at work right now.
Ms. Janzek?
I just want to let everyone know that tax bills are being prepared. They will be mailed out December 1st. If you have a change with your mortgage company or any type of change in that fashion, please call my office and we'll make sure we get that taken care of. Other than that, have a great evening and have a safe Veterans Day.
Okay, Ms. Hirschberg?
Echo some of you. We want to thank your veterans out there, my husband being one, my brother-in-law being another one, and to remind you that on Veterans Day, the township will be closed. Board members, your packets will go out a day or so late due to the fact that we have to get these minutes done before the packets can go out, so just so you're aware. And then to let the residents know that the township will also be closed on Thursday and Friday, November 25th and 26th for Thanksgiving. Yes, it's right around the corner. That's all I have.
Well, I will speak to the vehicle replacement plan because we do have one. And the plan has always been we take the sheriff's vehicles. after they reach 60, 70, 80,000 miles. But the plan got disrupted because most of them were wrecked. So there went our plan. We do need to come up with another one. Thankfully, we do have extra vehicles, but we've been looking into, with the assessing and the ordinance, battery-powered vehicles or whatever you have, something like that, because they're only used during the day and they could charge at night. So we are looking into that. We are having discussions with the county to get their, program, but I do think we need to, I'll have a conversation with Sheriff Goodenough about not taking the vehicles. I mean, we need to renegotiate that. It's just not working for us. And when we do get them, they're beat up. Unless you get them at 50,000 miles, they're just beat up. The one we just got last year is out of commission already. The Cadillac inverters are out. The engine's going bad. So it's not a good plan to rely on these vehicles. So we do have a few good ones still right now, but we are looking into putting a plan together, and we'll budget for it for the future years. So Banner Oak School has started. There was damage found after they started ripping things apart on the copula. They sent pictures. It needed to be repaired. It was an extra $850. We told them to go ahead and do it. We figured with a 100-year-old building, we're going to run into a few things here and there. I want to congratulate Duke Farms on their Environmental Excellence Award from the Green Initiatives Committee. Boo Bash was a huge success. A lot of people came out, had a great time. Temperance Street Fest is happening this year, where the board will be coming to this board to look for a street closure. And that will be August 20th is when the Street Fest will happen if the board approves the closure. So Fire Training Day on Saturday was really neat to see. The chief does an amazing job. It's neat to sit back and watch a scene happen, how professional they are, and how our call times have gone down over the years. We used to be basic life support. Now we're advanced life support. We used to be to where, somebody was hurt, we had to wait for the ambulances from Monroe. Now we have ambulances that can go to the scenes right away, and we have the professional trained people to do the job. So I am super proud of our fire department. From where they've come from under Chief's administration the last 5 years is just amazing. I can't give this guy enough kudos, and his team behind him. They do an amazing job, and I was able to see him in action. So great job. I don't know about that situation that the resident was talking about. Well, I'm sure we could talk about it at some point. I'm sure there's more to it than that. But other than that, I think you guys are having another one Saturday. Sunday. So I would encourage the public or any board members to get out there and check them out. Other than that, things are going great around the township. We had another great ARPA meeting. We've got a great crew in place, and things are moving along well. There's a lot of money available with the county and a lot of great opportunities for connectivity. And that's really what our board is really agreeing on, to say, hey, our community needs connectivity. We have a lot of sidewalks to nowhere. We want to connect those and some of our schools and some of our parks. So I'm extremely hopeful to the direction we're going, and hopefully we can update the board real soon with kind of a more exact direction. But other than that,
yeah, if you could in the near future, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, but in the near future, let's get a committee of the whole together so we can sit down and really understand where the committee's headed.
We're still kind of in the beginning. We're getting there, but yeah, that's a good idea. So other than that, happy Veterans Day, and we stand adjourned.